From around the world on Google Plus and YouTube Live, it's Google Plus Week. Clash of the Facebook Titans. Robert Scoble and George Takei disagree about Facebook's latest money grab. Google Apps for businesses, government, and schools get 15-person Hangouts, but you'll have to pay. Google's Niantic Labs releases their new augmented reality game for Android, Ingress. And Popular Science names Google Now the innovation of 2012. Google Plus Week Live starts right now. And welcome. Great to have you with us. I am Dan McDermott in Bentonville, Virginia. My co-host tonight is Mr. Alan Furstenberg. Alan.
Hey, Dan.
Great to have you with us as always. We have some sponsors tonight, Alan. We have the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, the beautiful phone, and Bruce has. Let's go to Bruce real quick here. Bruce,
that's right. Yes,
we have dueling Note 2s.
Yes.
Also,
one phone to rule them all.
Indeed, and you have a nice nifty case. We also are going to talk about the wonderful Nexus 7, and one of the neat things there is JellyBean, which you get, and then. We have another sponsor just signed up this week. I'm excited. It's our first paid sponsor, and they said the check's in the mail. Hostess Twinkies. You get a big delight in every bite of Hostess Twinkies. Is that the right thing, or is it Ho-Hos? What do you get a big delight in every bite of? I'm going to Pam on this one.
I don't think you better do that.
Anyway, we're sponsored tonight. Epic screen cap opportunities here. We're sponsored by Hostess Twinkies. And also we're sponsored by some margarita thing, which Bruce is gonna. You got what is it, Bruce? It's the Lime-A-Rita?
It's a Lime-A-Rita by Bud Light.
Okay. I got to do a quick thing, Alan. This before we get started here. This Twinkies thing is crazy. What do you think? Are you a big Twinkies guy?
No.
No. Okay, I know Craig.
No. I mean, I happened to be at the convenience store this afternoon, and I took a picture of the Hostess shelf to see just how paltry it was, and it was pretty obvious why they were going under, and it's because they haven't released a new product since the 1950s. But in fact, that's probably where most of the Twinkies date from too.
Well, some of them, that's actually a bum rap. They actually don't last for years. But this one says best by November 24th. I noticed that some of the stuff.
Does it give a year?
It's not necessary. They just have 12 sets of boxes. But no, it's an iconic brand. It's everything that's the best and the worst of America.
It's an iconic brand. It's going to live on. Somebody's going to buy the brand. Mm-hmm. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah,
my favorite is the pink. My favorite is the pink snow. What do they call those things? Those snowballs.
Yeah,
snowballs with the coconut and the marshmallow.
I think you have a whole. Don't you have a whole day of the week devoted to that, Pam? I think. But
I could do Snowball Sunday.
Yeah.
Bruce,
do they deserve to survive if they don't have a Google Plus page? They've got this great brand, but no Google Plus pages. I mean, I've searched. I can't find anything.
Well, that's outrageous.
That's one of the reasons why they're going out of business, and whoever takes them over will probably do a better job.
Yeah, they're going to sell this off piecemeal, and the brands will survive. I mean, there's a tremendous value in the Hostess Twinkie and the Ho-Ho and, these junk food things.
Dan, you say that, but most of the media reports are like, they're no more. They're going out of business.
Well, this does happen. Remember Pan Am? Pan Am was an iconic brand, and it basically somebody bought the name and then it fizzled.
If you look at most of the headlines, the implication, or they come right out and say that basically they're gone. And so, will they change that in 6 months when somebody takes it all over and they are rebranded and
that really all depends. That really all depends on whoever takes them over, what they do with it.
And they're not going to take all the brands over, Alan, right? There are certain brands that are valuable. Wonder Bread.
But they're specifically talking about Twinkies, as most of the articles are specifically talking about Twinkies.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, Twinkies are Hostess.
That's the big thing.
Somebody else can market a Twinkie, and in fact, somebody else can take the Hostess name and market a Hostess Twinkie.
There's about 50 different brands. Hostess, is it Nature's Own? It's like the bread that has no corn syrup and no flavorings. It's all natural.
And no flavor and
Wonder.
But if you go
No,
through
that's
the
good bread.
list-
I have some here. Wonder Bread is one of their brands.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things that they own, and they'll be able to sell off the valuable brand names.
Yeah,
and I imagine
Cracker Jacks, Milk Duds, all of these have changed hands, okay? All these iconic brands have all changed hands, and they've all continued. So there's a track record of this.
Well, but
there's
Craig,
no reason except for grandstanding that the media has to come out with headlines saying, Twinkies are no more.
But Craig, here's the thing. On all of those other cases, the transition was pretty seamless. It flowed directly from one company to another company, and the product continued almost, without pause. You look at something like Pan Am. Pan Am went out of business. The brand disappeared. It reemerged, but almost nobody knows that the brand reemerged. So it really all depends on how quickly they can sell it off, who they sell it off to, and who they sell it off to, what they want to do with it.
Also,
to be honest, nowadays there are a lot of other brands that have at least as much, if not more, name recognition. They may not want to go with Twinkies because they've got such a negative connotation.
I remember the comic. All of us when we were kids, the comic books had the Twinkie ads, and it's amazing that this happened because, and I don't want to belabor this, and we could shut this topic down and go on to Captain
Google
Sulu,
stuff.
Captain Sulu, which is our first official topic. But what happened? Twinkie, Hostess has been hurting for a long time, and they have had union negotiating things. It's a union shop. They have reduced their pay and stuff, and so they're pissed off. The Teamsters actually asked the bakery union's the one that shut it down. The bakery union refused to work, and they were on strike, which is their right. The Teamsters union, which of course is the route people, they asked the bakery union to please do a secret ballot because they were concerned. They were hoping to get it fixed, and they said they were privy to the books and it's real. The company, which is owned by some hedge funds, they offered to give the union 25% ownership, to give the employees ownership and 2 seats out of the 8 on the board. So they'd have 25% ownership and 25% of the seats on the board in exchange for, some cuts and whatever.
Dan, what's 25% of zero?
Well, I mean, now, it's just sad. I mean, I think some of these brands will survive. Clearly, the brands that have value, like Wonder Bread, Hostess, Schmidt could pick those up. Twinkies will be difficult because it's specialized machinery. Another problem is they were very labor intensive because they didn't have any money to invest in the automation systems to produce these products in a more modern way. So they were very labor intensive and thus very
there were a lot
able
of
to
problems.
to be shut down by a labor dispute.
Let's also not overlook the fact that they've had 6 CEOs in the past 10 years. These are not new problems they had. It's just been one bad management after another, compounded by labor problems, compounded by the fact that they never kept their products up to date with a growing market. There were a lot of issues.
So basically, Hostess is the bakery version of Yahoo.
Hostess is the largest, up until today, it was the largest bakery in the United States.
That's
I don't think so.
That's
I think
very
Bimbo.
debatable, Dan. Yeah,
I think Bimbo Bakery's bigger.
Is it?
Yep,
Bimbo-
and it's also Bimbo's also located in California too.
Pam, they pronounce it Bimbo.
Whatever.
But
Yeah,
Pam,
because
Pam and I
bimbos and
pronounce it
ho-hos
Bimbo.
don't match.
Yeah.
If we can say Jaguar when it's really Jaguar, then we can say Bimbo, right, Bruce?
Aluminium.
And speaking of mispronouncing names, let's move on to our first topic so you can mispronounce
George Takei.
Takei's name.
Oh, did I mispronounce it?
You always do.
All right, so we're at 09. We're going to talk about. This is wild. Alan, you were talking about you shared that you had briefly hinted on this in the last week, and I actually read the post from Scoble, and he's pretty hardcore about this. He told him, what did he say? Like, sit down and shut up, or why don't you? Basically, they're talking about this algorithm.
Here's
I forget what it's called. Why don't you give us the rundown?
We've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks now. That Facebook, that it's becoming more well known that Facebook is trying to, what's the best way to put this? Extort some major brands to get them to pay so that all of the people who are following them will actually see their posts. Currently, by default, if you post something on Facebook, only about 15% of your followers will actually see it. and they will ask you to pay so that more people will see it. And apparently, Takei, in an upcoming book that he's releasing, is taking Facebook to task for this. And in a Mike Elgin discussed some of this, and Scoble has come out and said, basically, hey, it's their platform. They can make you pay as much as they want to do. It's their right. They got to make money somehow. And besides, this method is a good way to cut down on noise. And there's some merit behind what Scoble is saying, but first of all, we're talking Captain Noise himself, Robert Scoble. And then we're saying, he should know that there are better ways to deal with noise filtering. And most importantly, he should realize that noise filtering should be should be on the individual to control, instead of some nameless, faceless algorithm that has that gives you no control whatsoever over what you see.
So do you think, obviously Facebook has a right to do whatever they want for their free service, and, well, largely free, and George Takei has every right to complain about it. But we're seeing a pattern of celebrities who spent a long time building up a following and engaging with folks on Facebook, and then now they're being asked to pay.
Now, Dan, isn't it true that we don't see everything in our stream of the people that we've circled, and they post something?
Absolutely, that's true.
We don't see everything in our stream on Google Plus either.
And if you had circled Twinkies or Budweiser or whatever, do you really want to see every single one of their posts, or do you just want to see the ones that really are hits?
If I circle somebody, just like if I follow them on Twitter, I want to see what they post. If I don't like what they post, I'm going to uncircle them.
How many people do you have on Facebook?
Like 1,200, 1,300 friends.
So let's pretend that you actually going to, every time you log into Facebook, you're going to really want to see everything? Or do you want to see the people you are closest to, the people you engage with the most, the people who are your immediate family, and the particular posts among the 1,200 people that had the most engagement, the most likes?
If I want to regulate that, I would want to regulate it myself.
But we both know you're not going to unfriend 1,200 people when that's how you reach.
Maybe I could have a slider and I could adjust.
You do. I mean, that you have the slider that is the Facebook algorithm, and then you can always go down and see the lesson. But they kind of the idea, and there's merit to it. I despise Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. I hate them. But there is some merit to say that you would want to see, in the same way that the filtering that Google's been able to do of late, where if Pam puts something up and it has a bunch of plus ones, that's probably going to be above up on top of my stream, whereas some random post from someone I don't even know who it is, but they shared it directly with me, and it's the products that this person's offering for sale or something, and I could care less. That I don't want that at the top just because it happened to be the newest thing.
I don't think that the problem is so much that there is filtering. I mean, I think just about everyone would agree that having an algorithm help you do that filtering is a good thing. And, Google does it, as we've discussed. Facebook doing it is fine. I think the question is, how easy do you make it, and what leverage do you employ, and to whom, to let you control those filters? Google makes it very straightforward to control those filters. You put them in a circle, you adjust the volume control, and in fact we call it a volume control on that circle. Facebook took the exact opposite point of view. They're saying, instead of you controlling how much you listen to, the speaker gets to control how many of their followers will hear what they have to say. And they control that using money. And, yes, Facebook needs to get money somehow. I don't think any of us are arguing with that point. I think the question is, of the three different parties involved here, the person sending a message, the person receiving messages, and Facebook, who is the only one who is getting anything out of this scheme? And it's Facebook.
Well, it's a lot of money too, Alan, right? I mean, we talked about Mark Cuban last week, and I think for him to reach his fans are in the seven figures. But it was like $1,500 or something. I mean, it was thousands of dollars.
A message
for a post, a single message to get out there, to just to reach people who had indicated a preference for his content by liking him or subscribing to him. So it's not like you're buying random ads. These are people who have said, I like Mark Cuban, I'm interested in his content, I'm going to either like him or friend him or subscribe to his public feed. And I think what this is about is Facebook is changing the rules after people have spent a long time building up likes and they were used to a certain system, and now they're monetizing it. And the rich will pay.
Well, if they can't figure out mobile, what else are they going to do?
They got to come up with the money for their unfortunate shareholders.
But now this is only talking about what's in someone's stream, right? So if I wanted to see everything Mark Cuban posted, I could go to facebook.com/Mark Cuban and see everything he posted.
But it's about the footprint, It's like a website versus a newspaper that's in every 7-Eleven.
Right.
Right.
I have an advantage because when you walk in the store, you
you-
see me regardless. But it's not like you have to choose to go to a certain website. It's like,
No,
what if Twitter did this? Let's say that. What if Twitter did this, Alan? What if Twitter went from a straight chronological order to mucking with it?
Well, they're mucking with it now, but I mean that's what a sponsored tweet is.
Well, that's different. They're clearly marked as a sponsored tweet. But what if they started doing this and they started switching the order to make the tweets, the accounts that you retweet the most up top, and the ones you engage with the most, or you've indicated, or you're an immediate family, or you direct message back and forth the most, they're kind of on top instead of chronological order. And then all of a sudden, Craig's posts about area guides pop up there because he paid, right? I mean, that's kind of analogous, right? But they can do whatever they want. And all these companies are trying to figure out a way to monetize, except Google, which is...
Well, no, Google's trying to figure out a way to monetize it too, just that they have other channels that they can leverage that they can monetize building on top of Google+. And we'll be talking about some of that later this evening.
Yeah, do you think Cuban's comments
word,
about
Bruce.
looking at MySpace are serious or not? And could somebody like MySpace, who's waiting in the wings, capitalize on this kind of move from Facebook?
Not at this point. Not the MySpace that exists today.
Oh, MySpace lost my business.
There's going to be something that's going to come along. I predicted weeks ago that Facebook will fall. It'll take years, but they will fall. Something is going to come along, and the chinks in their armor will show up.
Okay, so we all agree Facebook sucks. Up next, let's talk about Google.
Before we go on to what's
sorry.
next, I just want to remind all our viewers that we do monitor your comments. Go ahead and post a comment on one of the many reshares that we've had this evening, or to the stream on YouTube. We do follow, and we do bring you into the show.
Pam is in charge tonight, I think, of the comments, right? You've trained her. She's now certified.
Well,
she's
pretty
right.
certifiable, but that's another story.
And Sheila, welcome.
Hi.
Good to see you.
But before we
You're
do-
ironically to the left tonight, which is unusual for you. Normally,
It is.
Normally, you're to the far right, not to the far left.
Dan, before we move on, can somebody tell me how you can quickly and easily adjust the volume in Google Plus for a particular individual?
Sure. Well, you can't do it for an individual. You do it for a circle. So make sure so put them into a volume-based circle.
Okay.
Or you could put that person all in its circle all by themselves and put the volume all the way down or all the way up.
That's right. That's a good way if you don't want to be rude and uncircle someone. But you, of course, Bruce, he'll be rude. He doesn't care, especially after a few lime margaritas, baby. But yeah, if Sheila's right, you can create a circle of ignore or whatever you want to call it. And Alan, I don't think it's on the list, but I want to switch topics. But we should. I got a quick question here at 1930 about you can now put notes on someone's profile. Is that new?
It is new. Well, it is sort of new, and we do actually have it here.
Okay, just kidding.
But I'll bring it up now if you'd really like.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
Sure. Basically, they've in a couple of months ago, you may remember that we talked about the fact that you would be able to put some of your comments into the contact section for a person. And those notes that you put in the contacts will show up if you look at their profile. Now they've taken it one step further. And if you go to somebody's profile, there's a section on the bottom that says, enter in your private information about this person here. So you could enter in, if you know their phone number and they haven't made their phone number public, you could enter it in there. If you want to write down how to pronounce their name, you can put that in there. If you've got notes about them that you want to make sure you remember, you can put it in there. So this is a great new feature. This is something that people have sort of been asking for a very long time, but the way Google did it shows that they're really trying to create this nice broad-based integration with all of their products.
Is the practical application for this, Alan, that you can do a search?
There are a lot of
define their profile.
There are a lot of practical applications for it. I mean, the big thing is, what I know a lot of people are doing is, if somebody circles them, they may go look at that person's page and scroll through their post and see if they want to add them back. And if they realize they don't, they may make a notation now that says, here's why I didn't ask them, because, invite them back because, hey, they're a real creep. Or, they've got a bunch of really weird posts and I don't want to touch them with a 10-foot pole. So now these are your personal notes that will help you, remind what this person is. Or if you're, another good example is if you're talking to somebody who has an Arabic name. Now, I'm sure there are some people in this discussion who can read Arabic or at least, recognize different names. I can't. So if I'm talking to such a person and they tell me how to pronounce their name, I can now go into their profile and make a comment about how their name is pronounced. So later, if they talk to me again, I can go look at the profile and say, oh, hey, I know this person. I remember them. I've talked to them before.
And you don't have to be friends with that person or have that person circled? Any
That's
user?
Correct. It's any user at all. You can make your personal notes on that user. It's an incredibly powerful new feature. One that I imagine very few people will take advantage of, but it's going to be one of those things that at some point we'll be able to say, look, this is a major feature. This is what makes Google Plus stand out from other systems.
I think that maybe a slight overreach, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how practical it is because it's kind of, I could see it as useful if you're searching for someone. Because one thing we'll do, like some of the Google folks we know, sometimes you'll want to categorize them. You might have a circle, this game that just came out. I created this. I was talking to, or had a chat with the guy who works. I forget the name of the division of Google, the lab that put out the game this week. So I created a special circle, Google space and the game name, so I'd remember if I wanted to find him later, because in case I forgot his name, I could find him that way. But this is another way to do that. You could put notes like that, and then it'll come up in your regular Google search now that they've got search plus your world, right? So I'm guessing.
There is something here that I'm looking. I'm not going to drop names, okay? But I'm looking at a friend's about section, and it's visible only to me. It has their email address in there.
Well,
I think what it did is pulled from my Gmail that information.
It's possible. Because this is something that is shared
Google
with Google
Contacts.
Contacts.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that distinguishes this, is that this isn't, they went and created a whole new thing. They just said, okay, we're going to create a closer tie-in with an already existing product. And that's what we've been saying for a year and a half now.
I kind of like that.
Make Google Plus stand out.
I like that because I don't have to go to my Gmail to remember his email address. It's just right there.
All right, so this is cool, and let me do okay, business pages. They were rolled out. Alan, I know Alan remembers in the beginning. folks were using business pages to, or were using regular profiles to create business pages, and then Google was promptly deleting them and saying, "Wait, we're not done yet." And then finally they came up with business pages, and now they are they're adding some really neat features and with Google Apps and stuff. So you want to talk about this a bit and tell us what the deal is?
I would, but this is an article. This is actually an article that said a couple of interesting things. The most interesting of which is that they finally announced that there's yet another company that is able to provide gateway services between the outside world and your Google Plus page, called Expion. I've never heard of, but that's nothing new. But kind of what the article was talking about is how Google Plus pages are integrating with Google Shopping, and how Google Plus pages are becoming this great, marvelous, wonderful, incredible tool. And I just read this going, man, Google is still botching up pages left and right. It's not even funny. I mean, there are so many continued bugs with how Google Plus pages work. Pages with Hangouts is just a fiasco. And Google, even when they try to use pages with Hangouts, have problems. So, I don't know, I saw this article, I included it in our topic list this evening. We really need to get a mute button for Sheila's phone tonight, I think. It's okay, Sheila. But
she almost said a naughty word, but she caught herself.
But just the frustration that I hear from a lot of people about how pages continue to be badly dealt with by Google, and then this article saying how wonderful they are, just makes me go, are people really paying attention to this? Does anybody really care about pages?
How many of us have done a page? I have, and Alan, I know you have, only to abandon it because the process of trying to build followers or subscribers to a page would be so cumbersome and time consuming. I just as soon Can we mute that, Sheila? It's gonna be a long show, Alan.
But
don't you think what's the point?
Pages were poorly implemented. They're a joke. I created some. You can't lock down a URL for them. I mean, they're worthless. There's no benefit.
No, they're good, Craig, if you are The Onion or you're NBC News. You're an established brand, and but still you can't, like, if The Onion wants to do a Hangout, they can't. It's got to be one of the staffers.
Yeah, I don't know how effective they are even
on the
for
YouTube
them.
account. Even Reuters, which is one of the premier world news agencies, when they do a Hangout, it's on the channel, and the video is stored on the channel of some staffer who's in charge of that. So.
Well,
Okay.
that's because they set up the pages as an extension of someone's personal account. So that's why the Hangouts cannot be started from the business page, because those aren't the main accounts. It's the person who started the business page.
But should it be that way for NBC Nightly News? I mean, should it be Joe you never heard of in New York?
The bottom
who's
line
an
is
intern in charge of Google Plus?
you should be able to tie your main account to whatever YouTube account you want, your page account to whatever YouTube you want. You should be able to change it whenever you want to. You should be able to rename the name on your YouTube account. Duh.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You can't do any of these things.
Page, you can do. I mean, it seems like they thought of certain things with Page as well. You can create a Hangout from a page. You can even create a Hangout on Air from a page, but that doesn't get tied to the page's YouTube account. That's one of those things that seems lacking. Inside that Hangout, the person who's running the page can't run any apps. So you can't do things like lower thirds. That's just a stupid mistake that they've known about for months that they can't seem to get around to fix.
And you can't have additional admins on a YouTube account that's tied to a page's account. So like Dan said, if it's an organization...
Well, you can't have any YouTube page tied to YouTube account tied to a page account. That's the thing that makes no sense.
That's right. That's right. And
I agree with that.
Even the main
But then
account
again,
that you have, you can't have multiple admins on it, even the main account that it's tied to. So
you
therefore,
can have
can't-
you can have multiple admins on a business page.
No, I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about I have my own account. I set up some pages, right? And I have
Right.
a YouTube account that's tied to those pages. It's my same YouTube account that's tied to my main Google Plus account.
But you don't have YouTube accounts tied to pages. That's the problem.
If I go in pages and I start a Hangout on Air, as far as I know, it streams it on my main YouTube account. Isn't that true?
It streams it to the account of the person
That's what I mean.
who started that page.
That's what I mean.
And what Alan is saying is that NBC Nightly News should have an NBC Nightly News YouTube account, not Joe
Absolutely.
Schumacher.
You should have the ability to control that. In other words, I should be able to control, if I'm the admin of the page, if I created the page, I should be able to control what YouTube account that's connected to.
Sure, and if the business is willing to set up the page, now Google has to buy into this, but if the business is willing to set up the page whereby an individual or a couple of individuals or whatever are, responsible, then maybe Google will do that. But as long as it's just some, untangible corporation, Google doesn't really want to let loose NBC Nightly News on YouTube. They want to be able to contact a person.
I don't want to belabor this too much, but I do want to wrap it up with this, and that's Michael Ellis saying that Alan has that right exactly.
You hate it when people say that.
Yeah.
That's the worst. On Facebook, on Twitter, if you look at NBC News page or account, you would have no idea who's actually running it. But here, that's not that should not be transparent. I mean, you should be able to have a brand page for Ford Motor Company or something, and when Ford Motor Company wants to have an event on video, it shouldn't be tied to whichever intern is in charge of Google Plus, that week
day.
or whatever. Okay, so we all agree Google has really nailed it with these
With pages.
with pages.
Absolutely.
Okay, so 3220. Oh God, just kidding. See, I've got this problem. See, I've got these hotkeys out. The reason I get flustered here is I've got it tied to where my number pad on my keyboard switches the shots between me and Alan, and just Alan. Of course, this is the best of the three shots. But anyway, so I have to use the other number keys to type the times in, which is too much information at best and quite boring at worst. Okay, so at 3250, Google Plus Help presents Hangout Thursdays. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is we've covered in a couple of past weeks that Google Plus Help is a new page that's being run by the various community managers on Google Plus. So they've got this initiative going to try to encourage people to post questions to them, and they will answer them. And now they're starting something they're calling Hangout Thursdays. So every Thursday they're going to try to run a Hangout or a Hangout on Air, where they will share tips, share tricks, answer your questions live on the air. Lots of fun and exciting stuff like that. Pretty much what you use Hangouts for. And then a couple of hours after that, the Hangout team is going to have their usual set of office hours. So it's them kind of acknowledging the fact that they're going to, that Hangouts are a big part of Google Plus, and they're going to try to make some big focus on that. I tuned into I was reminded to take a look at their first Hangout on Air presentation, and it was not bad for a first presentation. It was 15 minutes of them kind of talking about what they were hoping to do and trying to encourage people to post some questions, and then they went and looked at the questions they had, and they were mostly all feature requests. So I think they're off to a slow start, but I give them 2 thumbs up for really trying to reach out to people and to bring them back and encourage this.
Rare encouragement from Alan for Google. Yeah, so it's like the Best Buy Twitter account. They're just kind of all chipping in, I guess. That's kind of ingenious, though, isn't it? That Twitter thing that they're doing, the Best Buy thing. Isn't it like thousands of kids who are authorized, and any random person will answer you quickly?
Isn't there a country that's doing that?
If you look at Best Buy's stock lately, whatever they're doing, it's not working very well.
Well, yeah, showrooming is in full force. Okay, so, Alan, Google Plus feature update rundown.
He's got to go.
I've got to vanish for a little
Are you
bit.
serious? All right,
Yes,
so
Dan.
we'll have to.
He's not reading the chat stuff, huh?
No.
I guess Dan
I've
is not
got
reading
too many
the chat
things
this
going
evening.
on. All right, so I guess we'll hold that. How long are you going to be gone?
Matter of who knows.
All right. Well, okay.
Let's skip to the retail section
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that you guys can talk about that far bunch of fun stuff.
All right. So let's do that at 3550.
We can talk about how the entire world is mad at Google for screwing up yet another product launch.
Hurry up and go pee or whatever you got to do, and we'll see you shortly. All right, Craig, I know you're going to have something juicy on this one here. The Nexus 4 sells out within 30 minutes, and it may take up to 3 weeks to ship. And I saw Jeff Jarvis was on one of his rare, not rare at all, rages on Twitter, and he said it's so frustrating because you'll be F5ing the Play Store, and then all of a sudden it'll show up, and then by the time you click and you try to order it, it's not available. It's sold out again. And I think I don't think this is a marketing gimmick. I think this is legit. I think they're whatever the supply chain issue.
So
is.
let me get this straight. They're coming out with an obsolete phone, right? A 3G phone, and they made how many of them? 200 of them, and they sold out. Is that the official number?
Well, that might be a slight exaggeration.
It's an epic fail.
I got
Move on.
No, it's a fantastic phone, but the lack of LTE is, to me.
Well, this is coming from a fanboy of an Apple fanboy, so
Yeah, we
his
have to-
opinion is
No,
completely
no.
inaccurate
Not only
on
does
this
Craig
topic.
ship like
Hey.
Apple products, but he doesn't like Hostess.
No, I say
He doesn't
buy
like
the
Hostess
Note.
Twinkies.
I say do what Bruce and Dan did. Buy the Note 2.
You know what?
I'm going to show him that. By the way, Craig, real quick before we go to Anthony, what time tomorrow we're going to be at the Front Royal Cracker Barrel for lunch, and his bus is going to be there.
You're going to invite the fans to come? It's all on me. Lunch is on me. So stop on by.
What is it still noon? Because I'm going to have to set my alarm clock. Seriously.
Maybe a little bit before noon, but yeah, 11:30, 12, something like that. I'm shooting for.
Okay. Is that realistic, or is it like
No, it's got to be realistic.
You've gotta
so
herd
so
the
have
goats.
have all the fans show up.
who
at
watches
the
the
Cracker
goats? Seriously, you have goats, and you're leaving for Florida for months.
Barrel. I'm not bringing the goats.
Well, what happens to them? You just put you pile up a bunch of feed?
The reason that we got
Hope it
goats
rains.
is the goats are relatively low maintenance, and so they'll eat anything, especially if they get hungry. And
You're literally going to leave the goats alone for months?
No,
Well, you have to
throw-
understand there's a
throw-
lot of old goats already in Florida. We don't need any more.
Yeah. We'll throw hay back there and all. We've got. I'm not taking the whole crew with me.
Wow.
So
PETA, are you listening? All right, Anthony. Anthony is not going to abandon his goats for the winter. Anthony, what do you think? You were talking about the Nexus 4 and wanted to build on Craig's praise for the device.
No, I mean Craig's right. This is a fail, but he's wrong about why it's a fail. I was. Pam just has the giggles today.
She had Twinkies.
Okay, I'm muted.
and maybe a touch of wine with the Twinkies.
Anthony, go ahead, buddy. Tell us
um,
why in your humble opinion, the Nexus 4 is a fail.
I got to tell you, I was extremely excited about buying a Nexus 4, and then when it sold out, I was pretty disappointed. But I figured, next week when they come back in stock, I'd buy one and I'd just have it a week later than I would otherwise. But now it's, apparently back ordered for 3 weeks for people that actually did order it on launch day. And the reason it's a fail is they're going to lose customers, because now I'm considering, I can go to AT&T, today and go and pick up a HTC One X Plus. Basically they're going to lose people to other phones because they can't buy the Nexus 4. And let me tell you something. I want a Nexus device. But if I can't have, if it's going to take me a month to get the phone, that phone's a month old, and, I want to have the newest and greatest thing when I buy it. I want to buy my phone on launch date, basically.
So
I don't want to,
Anthony,
if I'm gonna spend 2 years with one phone, I don't want it to be a month old when I buy it.
What do you think is the big problem with getting a Note 2? I know it's not the pure Nexus device, but really,
It's too big. I mean, honestly, the Nexus 4 is already too big. The One X Plus is the same size as the Nexus 4. I've had this conversation with Kyle where the phone's 4.7 inches is too big, but if that's what I got to do, then that's what I got to do to get a very powerful phone.
Pam,
And
can you
Bigger is better.
declare, Pam, is 4.7 inches too big?
There's no such thing as too big.
All right. I just wanted to check in with Pam. She hadn't said anything
Well, but
for a while.
I think the issue here is that Google was selling phones that they didn't actually have. That's why it's back ordered for 3 weeks, right?
Probably.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
you
all
can
the
only
companies
assume.
have. Maybe it's too popular. I don't know.
I mean, why?
no, they made 150 phones and they got those out, and they're doing great.
Seriously, okay.
Why
Kyle,
you
did you have
wouldn't
what was your point there? And then I want to go to Bruce and address this. The Note 2 is a compromise because it's not pure Android, and how that's incorrect now that Bruce has one. Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, it just seems like everything is compromised here, that if Google can't actually sell the device online and get that right, then they need some sort of a store presence to ever make these Nexus devices a success.
Yeah,
That's what it seems like to
Anthony
me.
has a valid point that you'll lose interest. Every week goes by, someone's got a new device. Bruce,
Well, and they have to be 4G.
They don't have to
LTE,
be 4G.
absolutely. You
HSPA Plus is the same speed as LTE in some markets.
You just said you don't want to buy a phone that's a month old, but you're buying a phone with technology that's 2 years old.
I don't know what you're talking about.
HSPA Plus is obsolete. LTE is clearly the way that everyone's going.
Well,
And so buying a
LTE
phone
is the
with
way
just-
that everyone's going, but it's only active in 77 markets on AT&T. So, I mean, HSPA Plus is going to be around for a long time. I mean, we're talking like 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. So HSPA Plus, by my definition, is not obsolete.
But what are the LTE markets going to look like in 2 years? To me, it just doesn't make any sense buying a new phone.
In 2 years, I'll be upgrading my phone, so I'll want LTE then maybe. But today, HSPA Plus is going to be fine for 2 years.
Okay, Bruce, let me go to you, and I want to ask you about this notion we hear all the time. Anthony hinted on it. We hear this all the time about it's not the pure Android with some of these phones. That, in my opinion, the Note 2, and basically the Note 2 is a Galaxy S3, but it's a little bigger. It's 5.5 inches instead of 4.7 inches. It's got a stylus built into it, and it's got some neat apps. Although I don't use this all the time, I rarely use it, but it's something in there, and it's a really fast phone. But I don't think there's any compromise. I think it's pure Android Plus, if that makes sense, Bruce. You want to elaborate on that? I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I think that it's an improvement over pure Android because I have the Nexus 7, which has 4.2. And I have this, and I don't feel like I'm missing the boat on this. Do you think?
Real quick, what carrier do you have, Dan?
I have Sprint.
Okay, is that phone available for AT&T?
Oh yeah.
I mean Verizon.
Yes, all the carriers. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the newest Samsung phone. It's like a mini tablet, right? It's basically as good as an S3, but twice as fast. The S3 is a dual-core 1.5 processor. This is a quad-core 1.6, so it's more than twice as
what's
fast.
The model? And what's the model of that?
The Note 2.
Note 2. Okay.
And it has two
NOTE.
gigabytes of RAM.
But
It's
isn't
the,
it true
it's
that
the only one with a stylus, but it's a smart stylus. It actually has battery. It knows, like,
Dan, isn't it true that it may be more crippled on Verizon? We don't really know. I mean,
Well, we know that Verizon imprinted their logo on the home button, which is kind of cheap. But mine's AT&T, and I had the Nexus 7. I didn't keep it because I'm just not a tablet sort of person. But I had it long enough to experience the, quote, pure Google experience. And I have to tell you that now, having had this Samsung Note 2, which I'm really glad that I got, no regrets whatsoever, I don't notice any material difference between the pure Google experience and whatever there's some AT&T apps on here, but I don't even have them on any of my home screens. I've got them stuck on the apps page somewhere. But I'm using this just like I use the Nexus 7, just as smooth, just as silky nice. And regarding the S Pen, Dan, I did find it quite interesting in several meetings at the home office this week to be able to pull out that pen and use S Note and take some notes. It was almost like using a really fine pen. The way this pen writes on the screen, and then you know how you have the button that you can click to undo something you just did. Even my handwriting, whether I'm writing in cursive or print, when I click that undo, it takes one letter at a time off. It's just that smart. So
it is. I went shopping the other day, and I had to make a shopping list, and I actually found it more convenient to write it with the pen than to type it in, right? Mm-hmm. Or do a physical thing. So I'll warm up to it, but I think it's an enhancement of pure Android. I don't think it's a compromise from pure Android.
Well, it certainly doesn't take away from pure Android. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, and I have both. I mean, I have the Nexus 7, so I have 4.2, and I hacked, did the side load to get the newest version early, and I know both. So this gets to the next thing here. I'm skipping around topics here till Alan gets back. But here,
I just like to point out that the reason that I want pure Android is that way when the next version of Android comes out, I have it. And when you have a Nexus device, you get the next version of Android when the next version of Android comes out. When they have layers on top of them, whatever the layer may be, it's modifications that the OEM has to make to the operating system to get to the next version of Android. And that can, with the best of manufacturers that are, doing this as quickly as they can, that can take weeks, anywhere to months, to it just doesn't happen. That's why I want pure Android on my phone.
That's a very legitimate point, and that gets us to our next point. But it's a relevant point sometimes. If they roll out a feature like Google Now, which came to JellyBean, if you don't have the lowest plateau with Google Now, you're really missing the boat. And I'll tell you a quick funny anecdote as we talk about Popular Science magazine. I guess they're still a magazine, or they just Popular Science now. I don't know. They named Google Now the innovation of 2012. It was pretty wild today. I'm trying to say wild or crazy, not funny, because people died. But I was on my desktop computer, and I was reading about this thing in the Gulf of Mexico that blew up, and 4 people were injured, and then apparently 2 died. And so I was trying to figure out where it was. My immediate thought was, this is a production platform of oil. There's an explosion. Is this another BP, or is it contained? What's the deal? Because the details were sketchy. All the sources I had, it was raw, new information. So I went to Google Earth or Google Maps, and I looked it up, and it was the something Delta 32 was the spot where it was. And so I tried to map it. Then when I got in my car, my phone popped up with driving directions to the Gulf of Mexico, thinking that I was headed there. So that's kind of a weird coincidence. I mean, a weird thing, but That's what it does. If you look up a theater or a restaurant in Chrome on your computer at home, and then you get in your car, the phone will figure out you're probably going to go there, and it'll offer you directions, navigation without you having to do anything. I mean, it's genius. And then it remembers, like if you on Monday through Friday, if you typically go to an office, then it will when you get in your car on Monday morning, it'll realize that. On Saturdays, if you typically go visit your kid somewhere or do whatever, it'll figure that out, that's only on Saturdays. It learns as it goes. So I think who wants to talk about Google now? Because I think it's an incredibly innovative thing. Bruce, you want to lead off on this?
Yeah. I'm putting things in chat, and I was fixing to add something else. So I'm in Melbourne, Florida. I'm staying at the Fairfield Inn, and one of the things I had to do about the Samsung Note is learn how to turn off that flashing blue light in the middle of the night in the motel room. And by the way, Lightflow is a great app to do that, and they do have a free version. But I wake up one morning and I see this red, like hurricane warning flag type thing in the top of my notifications. So I scroll down and it says, there's a riptide warning at the beach, So it knows where I'm at. It thinks, I might go to the beach and go swimming because it is Florida after all, and nice, seasonable temperatures. But it knew where I was and warned me about riptides. I did a search on my laptop about looking for a Grimaldi candy store. They have these awesome chocolate-covered potato chips. And so later on the day, I pick up my phone and I see I've got a Google Now card about Grimaldi candies on my phone with directions on how to get there and how long it'll take me to get there with the current traffic patterns.
That's not helping. That's not helping us. That's awesome. Yeah, anybody else got I think this is well-deserved. I think it's an incredibly innovative, helpful thing that only Google could do, right? Because they got all this data.
And it's the kind of thing this is kind of the next generation of what our devices are going to become. Things that are working for us without us directly asking it to do something. If
Exactly.
It's aiding you and always at your side and knowing what you're going to do next, it's creepy in a way, but it's also really, really impressive.
Yeah, this is an argument against all these guys.
A true personal assistant.
Yeah, it blows Siri away from everyone I've talked to. Sreek, are you with us?
I'm here.
Now you're in New Jersey. Are you still on generator power, or do you have regular? What's going on? Are you safe?
I never lost power, Dan.
I know. I was just for dramatic effect.
I mean, I'm one of the few guys who never lost power. And then there are like tons of people over here because it was cold. I broke my microphone, so I am actually out of microphone. So if you hear any background noise, please excuse me.
That's okay. You actually sound fairly good. What device are you on?
Oh, unbelievably, you don't remember at all? I mean, I am on what's that, MacBook Pro?
Oh, okay. We'll still allow
what
you
do
to
you mean?
stay.
Okay, I know you're a Google fan, you're like an Apple device, huh?
Do you have suicide tents outside your apartment? Is that how you were able to keep power? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. Welcome back, Sreek. You've been missed.
Thank you.
I'm sure you were helping out your neighbors as they were flooded out of their homes. Okay, so let's switch here. I'm not sure what topic to go to next. Pam, what do you think? You want to pick the topic? We're waiting for Alan to come back.
I don't know what's left, Dan, because I can only have a couple pages open at a time.
Well, see, I have 7 computers open. Everyone doesn't have that? Let's talk about this is interesting. At 5340. 5340.
Did we talk about Ingress?
We're getting ready to in a little bit. Let's talk about the Google and Dish Networks allegedly in talks for a new wireless service. Google, of course, has famously set up shop in Kansas City, and they are offering gigabit or gigabyte. I don't know which gigabyte internet.
Gigabit.
All right, that's a factor of 8. So, anyway, the Dish Network has this spectrum that they bought, and they are interested in, if the FCC approves it, they're interested in actually sort of setting up a terrestrial, non-satellite based wireless network, and they want to work with someone who either has towers or has other infrastructure, and Google is according to the Wall Street Journal sources, Google is one of the companies that they're talking to. I know that Google is obviously trying to get into hardware and they're having some incredible successes and some noticeable stumbles. But what do you think? I think this would be fantastic if there was a new national player to compete, especially with Google's history of basically offering ridiculously inexpensive alternatives to the legacy things. Craig, do you have any thoughts on this?
I've voiced several times that I'm looking for a big player or multiple big players to get into this space, including Google. I would love for them to just roll out nationwide and just get on with it, because they only make money if we can use the internet. And if we're in rural areas and we've only got dial-up available to us, or if we're in a mobile environment and we've got spotty LTE or whatever, and it's expensive and it's capped and so on, these are not good things for Google. So somebody has to do it, and why not Google partner with the Dish and put whatever resources they need to put into it and just build a nationwide network that we can access anywhere we happen to be. This is the United States of America after all. And I'd pay $100 a month to Google to be able to access that anywhere I am and have it be, like a gigabit up and down. I'd pay for it in a heartbeat. And I'm sure a lot of people would.
Yeah, I love the. Yeah, I mean, they would, if they did it right, it would be epic.
Well, and I was in Kansas City this week for a conference, and was there when they announced that fiber was starting to lay out, and it's really, really cool. They did it right. The TV aspect of it, it replaces basically any internet service provider you can find, but you can't help but think that you have to hardwire every single house that you're giving this internet to. And so to me, it makes sense that Google would want to be looking for some way to do this wirelessly, not only so that they can reach more people, but so that it costs less to get it going. And it would just kill all of the service providers.
Do you happen to know what kind of speeds a wireless network could achieve and how reliable it could be? I mean, what's the optimum that we could do with the current technology?
That I don't know. I'll do some research. I've heard, like 80 megabits per second for LTE? Does anyone know?
I think I'm not sure what but it's never going to, it's still line of sight to a degree, and it's never going to match an Ethernet cable at home, but we just want it to get as good as it could possibly be. And this gets to the other thing. Speaking of monopolies, most of us just have a single cable TV provider. If you're lucky, you have Verizon, Fios, and a regular cable provider, and they're fighting each other. But there isn't a lot of competition, and it's ridiculously priced. So let's go to this, Kyle, because you were there. What do you think about Google Fiber? I mean, this is a huge game changer. I'm very curious if you spoke to any folks who live there, and would anybody stick with a plan from like a Time Warner or Comcast or whoever does their service down there? This has got to be just put the fear of God in all the competition there, because it's offering so much more for less.
Now, the biggest downfall to it right now is that there are actually very few people that have the ability to get the service. It's something like blocks of the town rather than counties or cities. And of course, I was at a Google for Entrepreneurs conference, so everyone there was pretty googly, but it was unanimous that this is what you have to get, because I think it costs still $100, maybe $120 a month for unlimited, extremely fast internet, and a really pretty substantial TV package. Most of the local channels were there, and there's a lot of network or non-network channels that are bundled as well. So, it does. It just kills everything else that's available if they can get it to markets fast enough.
I think they were saying in real time, Anthony's got a chart up, I think they were saying in real time it's like 700 megabits per second.
And
Megabits.
Especially
Megabits. Yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on the speed of the lowest bottle or the biggest bottleneck in between you and your destination. What do you got there, Anthony? I'm looking.
These are the fiber hoods for Kansas City, Kansas. So Kai was talking about the size of the neighborhoods, and he's right. They are relatively small. They're basically like city blocks.
And your zoom level there is pretty far in. That's not at all. Kansas City metro area is much larger than what we're seeing.
Yeah. If I zoom out,
I mean, it's just so limited. But the fact is, and of course they have to start somewhere. But the fact is that if they can expand this in a timely manner, I mean, you're talking about putting service providers out of business, because why wouldn't you go to Google?
Well, and I think that's actually an issue. Is obviously you want to create more competition, but at a certain point, if you're charging $10 or even $20 more and giving these massive speeds, I mean, you're giving going from like a connection that Time Warner is on average 15 megabits per second to 700 megabits per second. You're going to price them out of the market, and like you said, that they're not offering it to all the it's a relatively small area of even Kansas City, and you don't want to force these other competitors completely out of the market. You want them to adapt.
And another cool feature.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Kyle. Then
I was just going to say that the key is, can they make money with this? Therefore, is it scalable? So if they can demonstrate in Kansas City that they can run all the fiber and that they can hook everybody up and they can run the system, they can run the network, and they can still make money at the price point that they're at, then they've got something scalable that they can start partnering with other ISPs and other cities and so forth and roll this thing out. Google doesn't necessarily have to do it all themselves if it's something that somebody can make money at.
That's the thing, though, Craig. If this thing works, it's the most disruptive thing we've seen in, decades. This is incredible.
Yeah, and we need multiple new networks. We don't need just one. What we really need is a situation where the city runs the fiber, and then different providers can provide various services over that fiber. And so it's just like a right-of-way type of thing. And that way you can have innovation. You can have providers come in and say, okay, we're going to give you 100 megabits up and down, and we're going to give you these channels and so forth, and this is our price point. And then somebody else gives you something else, and then you get a lot of different choices and a lot of different competition utilizing those same fiber optic lines. That would be, in my opinion, the ideal scenario.
Wait. Can Anthony put that comment back up?
Can we do that comment there, Anthony?
This is off topic, but Michael is saying that he's watching the show on YouTube Live, and the production quality window is not what he's seeing. We're seeing the Hangout like normal. Is that the way it's supposed to work?
Yeah. The YouTube Live version is just the that's the way. It's not the way I'd like it to work, but if they allowed me, I would stream the produced version on YouTube Live, but unfortunately we can't. So yeah, that's you're watching the Hangout, and then the produced version is after.
I was just going to add one more point, and I won't beat the topic, but they're also offering with the service that if you get your house installed and capable to use the Google Fiber network, then you actually don't have to pay Google per month to use the internet. You can get free internet up to, they're saying, 5 megabits per second. So it's pretty awful, but this is a whole new opportunity.
It's fantastic. See, you're too young to remember the 60. It's 100%. I remember 2400 baud modems. So it's 5 megabits is for free.
The other thing, Kyle, is if that's a very stable 5 megabits, if it's consistent and it doesn't during peak times, it doesn't drop off and so on, and if it's symmetrical, I don't know if it is, but
There are a lot of
if it
DSL
were-
customers that don't even get that, Craig, right?
Yeah, if it were,
I think that the average in the United States is either 3 megabits per second or it's less than 3 megabits per second.
yeah, and the problem with a lot of those connections is they're sporadic. And so if what Google is delivering is a stable, rock-solid connection at that speed, you can probably do most of the things you want to do with that connection. So it's the quality of the connection, not just the speed and the consistency.
All right, so we all agree that this Google Fiber thing's going nowhere, and Comcast is the way to go. Just kidding.
I should just mention that I just looked it up and it's not 3 megabits per second, it's 6.7. But
Still, for free,
Right,
to be almost at the average nationally is not too shabby. All right, so at 105. 25. We're going to switch topics, so we're going to talk about this crazy game. Anthony, I don't know, who wants to talk about this? This new.
not me.
Anybody? I
I
actually.
all I
talk
could
about
say,
it.
all
You're
I
talking
could
about
say on
Ingress?
all that I'll
Yeah.
throw it to Sarik, but all
Yeah.
I can say about it is that I would hate having my cell phone out, and walking around downtown or whatever, and everyone is staring at me because that's what they do, and there's already this terrible perception about people walking on the sidewalk and looking at their phone because apparently that's some terrible crime against humanity or whatever. But even if I had an invite, I'm not even sure that I would use it because I don't want to deal with all the gawking and staring and pointing and people judging me. But I'll let Sarik actually
Yeah,
talk about
while
it.
Anthony wanders into a manhole cover or a manhole with this and gets hit by traffic as he walks up a thing. What do you think? This is the wildest thing I've ever heard of. It's the kind of thing you had to kind of read the description a couple times to get it. It's an augmented reality game, right? Is that what you call it, Sarik?
Kind of, yes. So the real special thing about this is, I don't know how many of you have actually played Call of Duty or any such first-person shooter game or anything, where there is always a map where you see all these soldiers running around with the guns, and you actually can play with a team of folks, and then you can you can play a game. If anybody has played Half-Life, you can play against another group of people. You can play online, and each person will have an identity like that. So what is happening is Google now literally owns has got the biggest map in the world. They have basically mapped the entire world, right? So they have the hold on one second. They have the entire map in the world. Now what they're doing is a particular company or a group inside Google, who developed the keyhole technology, they developed this game called, I think it's pronounced Ingress, Ingress. I'm not really sure. I'm an Indian after all. So so what happens is everybody at the moment it's only with Android. The game is free. You download it, and then if you're running it, you go to any location. Let's say you go to New York City, Central Park, and you go to the Bethesda Fountain, and then you can actually look at the game, and there is going to be, they place on the map worldwide, they place secret portals. There's a game called Portal, by the way. So you look at it, you can claim it. There are multiple actions you can do. And in alleys, in small roads, etc. So basically, they're creating this game using the map and keyhole technology, so that anybody everywhere in the world with a cell phone can download that game and participate in the game. And you can collect things, you can claim things, you can go to a location, and if you see that in this location, it's like a treasure hunt. It's like a worldwide treasure hunt. Not exactly, but similar. Then I saw this guy on Reddit trying to investigate further and figure out what's really happening on this one. It seems that Google probably has a lot of information on the main roads, and you're walking through the main roads, and they already have all the maps laid out and the roads laid out for the main roads. How about inner locations, like if you want to walk through Central Park? It's a big place. So with this game, by actually letting users play it, they're collecting a ton of information worldwide, which is going to help them enhance the map technology much, much further. They now get minute level information from every corner where a user actually goes. You're having fun. Let's say Anthony is having fun with this Android app, walking around and, oh, there is something over here. And he claims that, right? It's like, let's say, a worldwide first-person shooting game. Not really shooting, but anyway.
Yeah,
So,
it's like a scavenger hunt
yes,
in ways.
exactly. And
it encourages exercise because you'll be up. It kind of utilizes Google Maps, the information that they have. So you're wandering up actual local walking trails. I have an activation code, so I haven't tried it yet. I haven't activated it because I will. I just got the activation code I was mobile and I got it in Google Plus, and I couldn't. There's no way to copy and paste, so I couldn't activate it until I got home, and then I was busy doing this. But there also are monetization opportunities because they'll have like stores being able to offer products or all kinds of ways that they could.
The opportunities are unlimited because now what they're doing is they are using the map technology. They can place any virtual reality thing anywhere in the world. For example, if they have the map of downtown, where do you say, Alan? I forgot the name of the place. I don't know. Anyway, downtown New York City, right? So
Manhattan?
They can put. What's that?
Manhattan?
Yeah, Manhattan.
Okay.
I mean, I was talking about where Dan stays. Anyway, so you can just they can push things through the maps anywhere they want. But the beauty of this thing is nobody without this game will be able to see that, but everybody else will be just seeing the regular maps, right? So that's one thing. Collecting information is a good thing. Geocaching, scavenger hunt. So by actually letting people enjoy having fun, they're going to collect a ton of information, which is going to help them a lot and take that giant leap forward from Apple or any other company with mapping technology. I believe it's actually really, really cool. It was trending on Google Plus yesterday. I don't know about today. And the good news is, wait for it, it's going to come on iOS pretty soon too.
Anybody play with this thing or have any thoughts on this on the game, Ingress?
So I haven't actually played this specific game, but there's something kind of similar but completely different. It's a game called what's it called? It's called
Second Life?
Track. No, it's called Spec Track, and basically you try and find these quote unquote ghosts that are around you, and I refuse to play the game when I'm at home, but when I'm at my cabin and I can go 100 acres square and not invade anyone else's privacy. So these games are definitely fun if you're comfortable playing them. So yeah.
I think I don't know how it's gonna progress, but if it is as interesting as they say it is going to be, think about it. A lot of people are walking down many places or going. It's not just about tourism. Let's say I'm commuting to work, and then I'm in downtown New York City where I work, and then I see this, and I say, hey, there's something over here. I look into my thing, and I say, okay, on that building, I see something which I can claim. So I put my phone over there and say, claim it. So I claim it. So I am actually, it's gonna be like people. I don't know whether you can play team. Yeah, I think you can have the good guys and the bad guys or different teams playing against each other. At this moment, I don't have the details and I don't have the game. The best person to check this out is probably Dan. And Dan, once you have it, let's know.
And this is something that you're continuously playing, right? You're not necessarily 100% in the game all the time, but can last for years.
It is continuous.
Yeah, see, that's too much like this movie I saw where this game like takes over your mind and crap like that. Nah, I'm not interested. I don't think I'm going to be playing.
How did
that.
you get
sure
the
it's
cat
not
back?
for everybody.
Pam, how'd you get the cat back? You were fussing with Chi-Chu or
Yeah, I guess they fixed it, so I can have the cat. I don't know. I'm eating dinner though, so.
you have
I'm
no
the cat
idea
right
how
now.
many times new viewers, you have no idea how many times people after the show they'll private message me. How does the lady do the cat thing?
I know. So you just love it when I'm the cat, huh?
Yeah, it's awesome. You can tell when she's smoking a blunt or eating dinner.
No. I quit smoking cigarettes in April.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So what do you smoke now?
Blunts.
She's a big Willie Nelson fan. We'll leave it at that. Craig Ship, you're probably eating a salad. Yeah, he's eating a salad.
I was muted.
That's okay.
Better.
All right, so let's see. The one thing I wanted to hit on, and we may have to cut this short because some of the stuff Alan added, and I hadn't even read it yet. But the
You can read it out.
Hangouts. Let me do at 1:15.
Are you going to talk about the 15-person hangout?
Actually, I was going to throw it to you, and I want to get you guys thought this. Okay, let's talk about this because I think it's cool. I saw it on a post from Chi-Chu, I think, or someone else. It was like one of these rapid fire posts where everyone was sharing all of a sudden when they announced it. But okay, we're cool. Here's the deal. What the hangouts are supposed to be people hanging out talking, socially, whatever, and they felt that the limit of 10 was a good limit because above 10, it becomes Chi-Chu described it like a big dinner party where there's 15 people, 20 people. It's so many people that there's not just a single conversation going on. People would tend to break up into subgroups and have separate conversations. But 10 is about the max you can have where you have a single conversation going on. So that's kind of the theory. Now, a lot of us are pushing that with doing shows and things. We're using it in ways that they did not intend. So what they've done is if you are a Google Apps for business or education or what's the other one? Government, then you're going to be allowed to have up to 15 people in a Hangout. And so I wanted to get Craig. What are your thoughts on this? And let's go around the room here. What do you guys think?
We did a test. What was it? I think it was last night. I think it was yesterday. Anyway, we did a test, and we had 15 people in. But I will tell you that it needed to be a paid Google Apps account because one of the people that first tried it had a regular Google Apps account that was not a paid account, and we couldn't do it. We hit 10, and then people were getting gigged that you're over the limit. You can't come in. And so somebody else started the Hangout that has a paid Google Apps account, and then sure enough, we were able to have 15 people in there. And it was really cool. And I think there are applications where it would come in handy, particularly let's say you have a musician who's doing a performance, and the people are generally just watching that person do the performance anyway. It's not like there's a lot of discussion going on. But then at the same time, you might want to, between performances, give people a chance to comment and have like a little round-robin discussion. And some people might choose to comment. Some people might not want to. But you're going to have more choices if whoever's in charge of the show, if you will, can have more people in there. And also, if you're going to rotate people in and out of a show, for example, you could almost have like a section that's almost like a green room where you have a certain number of people coming in and then you're rotating people out, but you don't always have to watch real closely that number, so you'd have a little bit of buffer going on. So I can definitely see instances where being able to push it up to 15 people would be handy in those types of situations.
Craig, also it seems if they improve the moderator functions a little bit so that you could control, so that the person leading or hosting the call or as you described it, the show, could sort of turn on and off people's audio capability or microphones. in a more manageable way, then the host could work across the panel more effectively.
Yeah, and we've of course asked for better controls even with 10. We can use it, and obviously with 15, you really need it. Yeah, but all those things in place, I just think anything that gives you more flexibility is a good thing. And this just gives you more flexibility. If you're running the show, you don't have to have more than 10 people in there. It's just like my comment that I've been asking for forever and ever and ever, including comments in the show. Whoever's starting that Hangout can make that decision. Okay, the chat is going to be part of the show. The comments are going to be merged into the chat, and it's all going to be part of the archive, part of the show. Whoever's producing that show can make that decision. And the people that are participating, they don't have to participate if they don't want their comments to be part of the show. They can go watch a sitcom on TV.
What was the performance like with 15 people in the Hangout?
It worked pretty well. I didn't see any degradation at all. I mean, everything seemed to work normally as far as I could tell. The thumbnails were a lot smaller.
So, Craig, I don't know what the price of a business app account is offhand, but would it be worth it to you to get a business app account just to do 15 people Hangouts?
I wouldn't do it at this point in time because I haven't been running up against a problem where I want more people in. I've had the opposite problem where I can't get enough people in. But if it ever started to become an issue, and if it was affordable, then yeah, I would definitely consider it. And I think it should be something that they should offer to everybody if they want to have it be an extra cost item and maybe roll in some additional controls and all. If they want to start trying to monetize this,
kind of
that
like
might
having
be one way to do it.
Kind of like having pro Hangout accounts.
Yeah.
It's $50 a user per year, Anthony, for Google Apps. So the problem is that it's per user, so basically every distinct email person and one person could have more than one alias, but each person who gets an account inside your Google Apps system, you pay $50 a year for that person. It's completely worth it. I mean, we use it in our business. I couldn't live without it now. But
you
I can't. Oh, go ahead.
But you only need the one person paying the $50 account for the $50 for the apps account. Like if Dan paid $50 for the apps account, I wouldn't need it, and you wouldn't need it, and Kyle and et cetera, wouldn't need it, right?
That's true, but the advantage, Anthony, is when you set it up, you can do it with your own domain. Like you could have anthonyclouser.com, and then.
Oh, gee, thanks. Now I got to go and buy that.
Right. You haven't bought it yet? Oh, Craig's going to get it and sell it to you for $1,000. But no, you can set up your own mini Google Plus. That's the advantage. You can have your own Hangouts, your own posts, and only people within your domain. You can administer it. So if you have a salesperson who quits, if you have if that person's using their private email account, you could lose clients and they could sabotage you, that kind of thing. But with Google Apps, you can manage it. You can reassign, you can reassign that all their contacts and everything to a new salesperson, and you can have your own little mini Google Plus network. And so for $50 a year, it's worth it. But 50, I don't know. I'm trying to imagine. 10 is a lot, to 15. I mean, it's not like something I would die if I don't have. It wouldn't motivate me. I have a Google Apps account, but it wouldn't. I mean, I haven't seen a need yet.
But I think it's something that will make Google Plus and Google Hangouts even more attractive for businesses, because I could see situations where you want to have a 15-person conference call, and not everyone will be talking at once, but pulling those people in when they're needed to have input and being able to see everybody. I
for schools, because one of the things that I didn't mention, I should have, is that in the past they only rolled out Hangouts to higher ed Google Apps customers, so universities, colleges. But now, I guess K through 12 schools, they can also have it. So you're going to see a lot of folks, getting trained in how to use Google Plus who are in middle or high school, and they're going to get hooked on it. So I think it's a smart move. Big time.
And the crazy thing is, I mean, if you have like 15 people and you're doing a school environment, you don't have to have 15 cameras on 15 different people. You can have one camera in one classroom, and then another camera in another classroom, and another camera in another classroom. So you have like 15 classrooms, and then like 15 students in each classroom. And you're talking to an extremely large amount of people all at once. And if you want, you can have people go up in front of a camera in that particular classroom and get interaction with each of those small classrooms. So I mean, this is extremely powerful.
Yeah, we just got for Google Apps for Education just got the ability to enable Google Plus for those same accounts. So my organization, SIGEP, has Google Apps for Education, and we couldn't do Google Plus, and it's just been killing me to spread it widely throughout the alumni and undergraduate base because the headquarters staff couldn't join with their work email addresses. And that's fixed now.
I mean, just imagine, Michael, now, like you could have a high school or middle school, you got anytime a kid is sick, the teacher's got a laptop in the classroom now, right?
Yeah,
so,
of course.
So you could have, the kid could join the class and not miss the lesson, join all the classes from home, from their sick bed, They could turn their camera off and observe and see what's going on. It's a very powerful tool.
It's totally great.
You could have a virtual. You could literally have a virtual exchange student program with this.
The problem is, Dan, that what you're talking about could be very efficient. It could be engineered in such a way that it would cost people their jobs. I mean, some of the people that work at these schools and so forth maybe could lose jobs. Some administrators might not even be needed. And so this isn't going to be popular at all in the public school system.
Well, this gets back to our first topic, the unions with Kellogg. I mean, you could basically take and I say this with affection for education. I am a former high school teacher myself. And you could basically take an English teacher from the 1860s and plop him in a classroom today, and he could do okay. There's not been a lot of innovation in education, unfortunately. Okay, I'm looking at our topics here, Michael. I'm getting some feedback from you, some audio back.
My phone rang.
No, it's an echo. I think either your speakers.
Oh.
If you could use headphones or turn it down just a little bit or something.
Yeah.
Or mute your mic when you're not talking. Just unmute your mic when you're talking. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think we've hit everything I can hit on without Alan. So I'm going to throw a crazy topic out here, and that I think you guys can go around about for a moment, and hopefully Alan can come back. And let me hit 120. We're at 128. We had the selection. This is totally non-tech, but I'm basically killing time until Alan comes back. And I know this is a topic that some of you will want to weigh in on. The latest thing is Mitt Romney was giving a speech to his donors, and he said that he lost the election because Barack Obama gave very valuable gifts to certain demographic groups, blacks, Hispanics, and single women. And he specifically referred to the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, what do you want to call it, and for Hispanics, the executive implementation of the DREAM Act, where young people can obtain a legal status if they came here. Their parents brought them here before they were, the adults, and for single women, birth control. So, as part of the Obamacare. So, I'm seeing some Fox News Drudge Report types saying, like, well, of course, that's true. And I'm seeing other folks saying he doesn't get it. And I wish Bruce were here because he could certainly weigh in on this. But I'm just curious what you guys think, and I know I'm going to throw it to Sarik first. Ironically, he's on the far right of the Hangout, and I was picking on Sheila earlier over this, but Sarik, I want to, if he's still with us, I'm not sure what's going on. He's having some sort of.
He's telling his family to be quiet.
Do you think that? Okay, Sarik, do you think that Barack Obama won because he did the chicken in a pot, chicken in every pot approach, and gave,
Go on, I'm listening.
Do you think that it was about gifts that he gave, Obamacare and other things, the DREAM Act for the Hispanics, and free birth control for single females? Do you think that that's why he won the election, or something else? What do you think?
I think Obama won the election not because he was the better. He promised all that, but I thought Romney was a weaker candidate. My son is following me. Give me 1 second.
That's okay.
What's happening is, okay, I'm gonna hide here. So what's happening is, I believe that if Romney actually got a boost when he actually came very strong in the first debate, showing that he had a lot of good answers for a lot of questions from the Democrats, and then stumped Obama quite a bit. And people suddenly thought that, okay, here's the answer. A lot of undecideds especially. But what happened later is Democrats figured out the game, and they stuck to all the weaknesses of Romney, especially the fact that he was extremely conservative during the primaries. But later, on the national stage, to win the undecideds, who mostly probably could be moderates, he had to flip-flop. I can show you video evidence of the same thing. He's saying two different things.
We've all seen your evidence. Anybody who follows you has seen.
You can search it. You can search for the same issue, what Romney said during the primary versus what he told Obama in the first debate. But that's not the point. The point is
every candidate has to run to the Democrats have to run to the left during the primary, and then they moderate in the general, and vice versa. So,
but my point is, it's not because Obama was anywhere. In my opinion, both are Harvard graduates. One is a little left to the center, and the other is a little right to the center. Theoretically, there is not really much difference between the two. If Mitt Romney passed healthcare in New Hampshire, which is almost identical to the one Obama passed, how can you even say there is a difference? But I think if
Romney... But Shriek, wait a minute now. The big difference is Obama came out and told the people he was giving them all these things. I mean, yeah, Romney would have spent a lot of money too. I mean, he's a big government guy too, but that's not the way he was talking.
Both of them are.
So, Craig, do you think Romney was accurate? Is that what you're saying?
Say again, dude?
Do you think Romney was accurate that Obama won because he promised, he created new entitlement programs?
Absolutely.
I'm going to Pam in a sec, so Pam, get ready to get fired up.
I'll go one step further. The electorate, as far as they're concerned, all of these things that the government is giving them, all these things are free, just like public school. Everybody says, well, I'm going to...
How is it free?
To public school because it's free.
My tax money, what I pay, is being used in this county for the school.
But Sheik, my point is that they see things that come from the government as being, quote, free. They don't cost anything. So, of course, if Obama's going to say he's going to do this, that, and the other thing, and it's all going to come to you and it's all free.
Craig, how does this differ from the things that Romney was going to be giving away to his constituency?
He didn't do as good a job at it. He didn't sell it as good as Obama did.
So it's not that Obama was giving stuff away and Romney wasn't. It's that Obama illustrated to his constituency what he could do for them, and Romney utterly failed to do that to anybody on the cosmos.
Absolutely.
And he had the cast of characters, the weirdo, freaky right cast of characters that was talking about the rape being, blocked by your body, and
God
all
chose
other
this for
crap.
you.
The Tarak
Yeah, listen, Pam, I
country.
want to ask you because you're unique. Okay, you're white, your husband's black, you're a Democrat, and your husband's a Republican. So
Yes,
you
my
are
husband
totally.
my husband is a Tea Party Republican.
Y'all are totally weird. You don't make any. You remind me. I used to own a bar, and there was a couple that would come in, and they'd order a Bud Light and a Smirnoff Ice, and the guy was drinking the Smirnoff Ice, and the girl was drinking the Bud Light. Now that blew my mind. So I'm curious. Tell me what you think and what kind of conversations you've had with your Tea Party Republican black husband, who doesn't meet any kind of, not easily pigeonholed. But what are your thoughts on this? And then we'll move, because I'm actually killing time on this political topic until Alan came back.
You know to spice it up, Dad. You know to spice it up. Yeah.
Go ahead, Pam. What do you think about this?
The truth is as I get older, and I get more Republican, and that's just the way it is. But
on fiscal issues or social?
Yes, fiscal
not
issues
social.
for the most part, not social issues.
Okay.
No, and I'm anti organized religion. So I don't think that churches should be tax exempt, and so I'm pretty far left on that score. But I do have to say that Romney had a huge stigma to overcome, and that was, he's Mormon, and he's very rich.
It was more the rich than the Mormon. I don't think anyone didn't like him because he was Mormon.
Well, I live in Riverside County, California, so maybe it's a little different here. There was a lot of, but if he wasn't Mormon, I'd vote for him.
He was that ideal family, and that's what they didn't like.
Let me ask Pam a quick question. What did your husband? And then we'll go to a comment from Anthony.
Can I add one quick thing?
Yeah, real quick, Sarik. We got to.
This is what I read. There was a CNN article which was pretty interesting. How Romney lost. I'm pretty sure everybody read that. Romney was fighting the 2008 Obama.
Yeah.
Obama improvised in 2012. And how can a group of people with all these political advisors and all these guys, it's a ton of money, probably a lot more than Obama, make stupid technology mistakes and be so over themselves, and while the other folks on the other side are running a very confident, tight campaign and getting the votes out campaign. It's very true. They were more organized.
You're correct. The numbers came out. They released the numbers. Obama spent $47 million on social media. The term they use, I guess that's Twitter and Facebook primarily. And Romney spent about $5 million. So he spent 10 times as much Obama did on where it counts, social media. And he just wiped the floor with them.
Okay, Anthony, you got a comment, and then I got a question for Sarik and Pam. What do you got there?
Well, if we're done with this conversation,
we're not. But go ahead. I'm going to go back.
Please, let's be done with this conversation.
Right. But the comment is completely off topic, but the comment is it's from Jeff, and I don't have any idea how to say
Fantastic.
his last name.
Is it something?
Fantastico.
Yeah.
Jeff Fantastico.
Pam, this is a great show. Why did you just now point this out to me? It is a laid-back tech podcast that is actually very informative and interesting. This beats the hell out of... Oh, we can't say that.
Okay, this beats the hell out of what I am used to.
Leo. Leo's my hero. All right. It's good except for the last sentence I can't say because I don't want to get into some sort of war with my hero, Leo.
Dan has become
the Henry Ford of podcasting.
Leo Laporte?
No, I like Leo Laporte. He's the Henry Ford of podcasting. Okay, so Sarik, you've been in America how many years?
7. This time 7. Before that, about a couple of years. Yes.
And your adorable children, who I've met and had dinner lunch with you guys, they're how old?
One is 7 and the other is 2.5.
Okay, so they're both born here?
No, the second one.
So the second one's a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
And the other one, I guess, what's your plan? I mean, are you on the path to citizenship? or are you just here going back to?
If the company I work for, actually, I don't know. Maybe if I 10 years from now, depending on how much of how is the American economy doing, and what are my prospects here. It depends on a lot of stuff whether I'm going to stay here in the long run.
Well, comparing this to Mumbai, I'm guessing it's the prospects are not
I never
too bad.
ever went to Mumbai.
Well, here's the thing.
He lives in the southern part of India.
I live in the beautiful part of India.
Yeah.
This is the issue. The white population in America in this election, the voters, was 72%, I think. I think in 2000 it was like over, or in, I forget. I'm gonna get these numbers wrong, so I don't want to say them.
I think
it's a dramatic drop, and America is getting. It's not just European white folks, and over 50. This number will shock you. Over 50% of the people under 18 are non-white, right? So when you have a candidate who is talking like we're trying to preserve America for the rich white people, and we're trying to anybody who's not white is a burden and being given gifts, that does not resonate well. And so the percentage back in the Reagan days, it was like 87% was white. Now it's 72%, right? Now you have international folks, you have African Americans, you have all Hispanics, Latinos, and so the country's changing, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to slow down, and I don't have a problem with it because I'm not a Cherokee. You're not a Navajo, Sreek. We're all immigrants, right? So I don't have a problem with that, and I think that we just have to, the Republican Party has to realize that, and they have to realize that the country's changing. That this is not the lily white Ozzie and Harriet America that you envision and think, and stop the crazy nonsense like the rape comments. I think he was killed, and we got to go back to Alan to get some tech stuff in. I think he was killed early on in the campaign about the Bain Capital ads, which portrayed him as this ruthless business guy, and I think that the impact of that 47% video, which absolutely was not off the cuff. It was not a mistake. It was not a gaffe. It was what he thinks, and it was reinforced with this gifts thing. I think it's like us versus them, and there's more them than us now. So, last word on this streak.
I think the population demographics, what you brought up, it's a very, very interesting point. It's not just about the Latino kids or the Asian immigrants or anybody. I'm thinking last year, I think, was the first time that the number of non-white kids born in the U.S. actually crossed the number of white kids. Having said that, if you look at the number of votes that Obama got, the popular votes, right, he actually got more white votes than Romney, or something like that. I read it somewhere. So what I'm trying to say is, already I'm seeing a lot of change in the way the centrist Republicans are thinking. I see a lot of good comments coming out from a lot of moderate or just to the right Republicans, those who are not really far right, and they already understand that. I think this was somebody from South. I forgot his name anyway. So they already understand that if this is not corrected now, that if Republicans cannot start appealing or be appealing towards the immigrants or the Latino population here, or generally any non-white population, sooner or later it will come to a stage where Republicans cannot win in this country.
I think we're close to that stage, but then again, I'm gonna go to a comment from Alan. But after every election, whoever lost, all the people say, they'll never win again. And
but you said that the white population is drastically dropping. There is a common
See,
thing.
You people. I'm just kidding.
There's a common comment about in the Indian community. When you first come here, you're a Democrat. When you make some money, you become a Republican. So.
Well, you've always said you're a Democrat, but you've always described yourself as Pam, and as I am on social issues. I don't give a rat's ass who you want to marry. I don't care if you want to smoke a joint in the woods. It doesn't impact me. I have a big problem if you're a pregnant woman and you're just shooting heroin or crack or hair, whatever you do. But basically, I don't like victimless crimes. I mean, I'm a libertarian in that sense. I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money. But at the same time, I'm not going to ignore the fact that all of us are paying for the uninsured anyway, because if you have health insurance, you're paying for the 2 people who came before you in the ER that don't.
You exactly said what I believe in. I take all the good things.
Yeah, we got to go. We got to go. Okay, Alan, what you got there?
Final comment on this issue is from Diana. I swear, every time I leave and come back, Dan is talking politics.
Well, I admittedly am talking politics, and if you look back and look at the tape, you'll see I basically said, okay, we've run out of topics that I can speak intelligently on, and Alan added a bunch of topics, and he's gone, so I'm going to kill time until Alan comes back.
It's Alan's fault.
Fine. So now that I'm back,
where we are at 145. 145 and 25, roughly. And our next topic, Alan, is improved notification for comment threads over 100 comments.
Yeah, this was really
what everyone's been waiting for, this topic. So go ahead, Alan, please.
I can tell you were just on pins and needles.
And just so you know, if you look at the list, anywhere I've got a time code, obviously. So go ahead.
So this was actually just this little note that Yongatan dropped in and mentioned that they made this little change. Previously, if a comment thread went over 100 comments, it would stop sending out notifications.
Okay.
And now they've tweaked the algorithm a little bit so that under certain circumstances, if they think it's pretty likely that you actually did want to keep receiving notifications, you'll do so even past 100. I think the most interesting part of the whole thing, though, was looking at the discussion thread for this. They then went and insisted on testing it, and the way they made sure that they could test it was that they were tossing out lines from their favorite books. So it's always fun to see when Google engineers start posting something where it leads you, and especially with his stuff, it's really fun to watch.
This is a window into their dog fooding. I mean, we're all part of it sometimes, some of these tests that they do.
Well, I think the really neat part is it's not just a window into their dog fooding. It's also a window into some of these people. And, these are real people with real personalities.
Yonatan is very, very, very smart. He's like scary smart.
He is scary.
He is, and the great thing is he likes talking about all of that stuff as well.
And he's so down to earth, though. That's really cool.
Who are we talking about?
Yonatan Younger.
Jonathan Junger, yeah.
And if I will suggest to everyone who watches us that if you're not following him, do so, because he's just a fun person to follow.
Agreed.
Okay, Alan. Hot and bothered, no. Hot and recommended. Did Pam add? Pam, this sounds like.
I'm rubbing off on Alan.
What happened to you, Pat?
Alan, did you sneak this topic in? What's this about, Alan?
I don't know. I think we just need to start jazzing up our headlines a little bit. No, this was a subject that. So I'm trying to remember where I found this from originally. From Danny Sullivan, who posted as part of Marketing Land. He noticed that there has been a slight change to the What's Hot feed, and then instead of calling it What's Hot, they now call it What's Hot and Recommended. And he was speculating. He thought this was great, that it now meant that they were putting stuff into the What's Hot feed that they thought you would like. And
I don't like that.
And I kind of looked at that and I said, I don't know. I don't think that's what it says. I think they're now admitting to the fact that what's hot isn't necessarily what's hot.
Yep.
It's just what some editor wanted to stick into the feed.
Yep.
So
are they getting paid for it?
Probably not.
No.
Not yet.
I think it's yet another attempt at throwing more spaghetti against the wall and yet another indication on why they don't get it and why it's failed.
I think they're just owning up to the fact that it's not just the number of shares and the number of pluses that determine what goes on and what's hot. It's actually mediated.
Exactly.
The last time I was on it, I did a test on this, Alan, and I I looked. I did F5s, and I would be like, I forget where I was, and then I did it in an incognito window, and then I did it with a different account that I have. Yeah, we agree. Kevin Bryan, that's the best comment.
We all agree it's Alan's fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I logged in with a different account, and I saw a completely different What's Hot list with some of the same things. But I think it's different. I think if at any given time, if Pam logs in and Alan logs in and I log in, I think the three of us will see a different What's Hot list. And I think that's a good thing because I think it should be. I mean, Google has all this data on us, so if Alan is really into lacrosse and Pam is into baseball and Sarik is into football, then if some celebrity or whatever from one of those sports does a post that gets engaged, I'm still getting some feedback, Michael Ellis from your speakers. Your I don't know what configuration you have, but I'm getting some echo back from you. But I think that it should be tailored. That's what Google's strength is. Let's play on that. Okay, so speaking of features, some of them are apparently vanishing, Alan. So
this was interesting. Peter McDermott made a comment earlier this week about something and suggested that we then start a Hangout from it. And a bunch of us simultaneously noticed that, hey, that great feature that they were touting a while back where you could start a Hangout from the comments and it would launch this Hangout to let you talk about a post, vanished without a trace. I mean, nobody can figure out how, nobody can even remember how we used to start them back then. So I guess they realized that nobody actually thought this was a good way to use Hangouts. But, so Google is taking away features that nobody uses as well. All for the better, I might add. I thought it was a bad feature then. I don't think it's one that's terribly useful. But did anybody else either use this feature or notice that it got missed?
Once or twice, but mainly it would be in limited posts, right? Like if you shot me a thing saying whatever and it was a private conversation.
Yeah, but on limited posts, you're sharing it to a circle to begin with, and then you start a Hangout for that circle.
Yeah, I think it was a good concept. It just didn't work in practice. Well, yeah, you just don't have all the people that, one person sees the post, and then 5 minutes later, another person sees the post, and then 15 minutes later, another person sees the post.
Exactly.
So the concept is there. You just don't have all the people that would want to be in the Hangout at the same time, and you only have one person, or if you're lucky, two people, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. I think one of the great things about online discussion boards or forums, and Google Plus is a model of that, is that it is asynchronous. You could post something, and you're not going to sit there waiting for a reply necessarily.
Okay, Brad is here from Australia. Are you here, Brad?
Hey, mate.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, mate. What's up?
What do you got on track for tonight on your show?
I've just done it, mate.
Well, what was on track for your show tonight?
We spoke to Jonathan from Rome. It's a nice, great app to get on your phone to look at things around your area, like cafes and that sort of good stuff.
Awesome. What do you think about Google's new game?
New game?
That's a good question for Alan also. We already discussed Ingress. Alan, if you want to add something, I put my bit.
Well, hang on. Let me do a quick thing with Brad.
I don't think Brad can play the game.
Brad, what was your show about?
We had Jonathan from Rome's on. It's an iPhone app and an Android app.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's bringing out a new iPad app for it. I mean, on the iPad.
So it's techwebcast.info. Is that the place to go to see it or to hear it?
Yes, it is. You hear it. Yes. Get it onto your phone.
It's a great podcast.
It is a great. I've got a question for you, Dan.
Yeah, sure.
Regarding the Google Plus app. When you want to view a page, do you need to log out and then log back in and choose the page, or can you choose it?
God, yes. Not so much when you need to view a page, but if you want to administer a page, you need to log out, which is utterly stupid approach to it. If they had changed the wording, it would have made a lot more sense. But yeah, that's how you do it, believe it or not.
Yeah. That's a stupid idea. Why can't they just fix it and do it properly?
Because it's Google! They don't freaking know what they're doing when it comes to a user interface.
Well, maybe they should get you on there, Alan, and build it.
I don't know what
build
I'm
the app.
doing when it comes to a user interface either.
You know, maybe,
I
and I can't remember what his name is, but he was brought over from Palm to work on Android. Maybe they need the Android user interface guy to start working on their like Google Plus interfaces and such.
I mean,
But Android has only now got a good UI. I mean, it's
Yeah, once he came on board.
this is
I
an
mean, once he
across-the-board
transitioned-
problem with them.
I was kidding, but
There's old Jacob Jones. Welcome back, Jacob Jones. And he was also on Tech Webcast as well, Dan. So if you want to ask me a question about it, go ahead.
Jacob, did you have fun on Tech Webcast? I think he's still getting his wires hooked in.
I'm here.
You guys are such a trip.
Voice from the void.
So, anything before we go to our next topic, Brad? Any? What's the biggest thing going on in Australia right now?
ZBox launched here in Australia. Great. Have you seen ZBox? Do you know about ZBox?
What is ZBox?
It's a new TV app. When you're watching TV, you can interact with people and stuff. It's pretty fun.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Any shark attacks this week?
No, not that I know of.
I think you guys have
Where's
one
that
every
coming
day,
from?
you said last time we talked.
Dan, can we get a feedback on the game
music.
from Alan?
We can't do music. Whoever's got music playing, it's got to end.
That's not me.
Where's that ad coming from?
We got it. Yeah, Jacob, is that you? Are you playing music? Okay. All right.
Brad, check your screen.
Let's you can install.
Oh yes, this was another thrilling, just spellbinding feature that rolled out this week. In the past, when people could indicate what music they were playing from Play, and people could get free previews of it, and that would show up in their stream. Now that's been expanded so that you can also launch movies from your stream. You can load books from your stream. You can load Android apps from your stream. So it's once again, this is just a nice, clever way that we're seeing some of the things sort of kind of being integrated across Google's platform. The frustrating part is that nobody else can do this yet. And you just got to wonder, is Google Plus just going to be, pushing Google stuff and only Google stuff? Or is it going to be, the platform that everybody can do this on? And I think people are hoping that someday, soon, everyone will be able to do these powerful things. And we see little bits of hints of that.
well,
And then they do this.
Like obviously, Google can do this with their own products. I'm not even sure how they would do it with Amazon's video store, because the two are not integrated together.
But I do, Anthony. We have hints of this already. We have the history API will let you will if you go and visit a website, just the fact that you visited it will make it show up in your history, and then you can share it from your history. It's there. It's in developer preview, and it's been in developer preview since I/O.
Well, and I mean, you kind of need to open up the APIs. That I know you would, agree that the APIs need to be opened up, but they haven't done that yet. So, I mean, how would you if Amazon wanted to make it so, if you linked to a video file, then it would do that. They'd probably need APIs to, I don't know. It just
Yes, but the APIs are almost there. They're almost there. We just need to. I mean, and developers like myself have been able to play with these already.
So, do you think that this is something that's actually going to come, or do you think it's something that's not going to come? Because
I think it's
you
going
make
to
it sound, because you were making it sound like it wasn't going to come.
Well, I think it's going to come, but it's being painfully slow, and you got to wonder when.
Well,
And
just remember
Dan-
that
and
Google
Dan and
Plus is
Pam
only
lost it.
less than a year and a half old, so it's not that old. I guess kind of old by internet standards, but
All right, Pam and I are on the same page. It's time to move. We
Hey,
got
Dan, there's the ZBox there from Jacob.
The Z. Oh, Jacob has it.
Yeah, and explain to him what it is, Jacob.
Basically, it's like a TV app. Basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
Click on that show now, Jacob. Click on Deadline NBC. Click on that.
Don't do any copyrighted stuff now. I'm gonna get in trouble.
No, it's not. It's not a video.
There's nothing.
Click on it, Jacob.
You have NBC in Australia?
No.
Oh no. He's
Yeah,
in
we do
Florida.
we do on ABC on pay TV, but I don't have it on free now.
Had American influence in Australia?
What's that, mate?
Just saying.
All right, Jacob, can you give us an audio, a quick description of what you're talking about?
Well, basically, ZBox, basically, you can talk to someone during the show, communicate, like, via shout-outs and stuff. Because, see, right here... See,
Is it everybody
people,
watching or just people you've added to some sort of friend circle?
Anyone.
So the whole it's sort of like Twitter, like on election night when everyone's tweeting about the results. This is anybody watching a show like Lost or whatever. They could be speculating about what the hell's going on, that kind of thing.
Hey, scroll across. Show him social, Jacob.
See? Give it a second. And there's all the live comments. Live.
Cool.
And you can also leave a comment you can write some to on Twitter and stuff. And
Speaking of live comments, we have this question for you guys. Wanting to know if there were any Nexus 4s that were left in Australia.
No. All sold out. And I just want to add, if anyone wants to send me one to review, I'm happy to do it.
How quickly did they sell out there?
Pretty fast, mate. Pretty fast.
I think they sold out in Australia faster than they sold out in the United States.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to send me one to review for my podcast, please do.
Yeah, and this is the Z tags portion.
Okay, we got like 3 more topics. We got to roll through here real quick. We've got JellyBean 4.2 has rolled out on the Galaxy Nexus and the Nexus 7, and Alan, who I hate because he has the original whiteback Nexus 7, and I do not. But I have an early model anyway, and you can tell that because the headphone jack does not work, or the mic jack does not work.
Yeah.
Hate's a really strong word, Dan.
Dan, what do you think of the new Nexus tablet?
I think they're great. I mean, it's the the newest Android, and Android has gotten.
Yeah. Chris Perello was reviewing one this morning on his live stream, and he said it was like really slow and stuff.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen one, so I haven't played with it. I mean, the specs were impressive to me, but I don't know. I know that when he looked at the Note 2, he was very enthusiastic about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't seen it. I know that they've got to get the tech support stuff, fixed and all that.
Yep.
And that's a problem. And Asus, it's like if you buy it from Google or if you bought it at Walmart or bought it at Staples, as I did, you have an entirely different tech support experience.
Customer support. What a radical thought. That would be like actually, sending people the product when they order it and, having a good ordering experience. And gee, I don't know, Google and customer support. You think they might get it someday?
Well, let's talk about hopefully. Let's talk about JellyBean 4.2.
You're more optimistic than I am, that's for sure.
No, I'm just trying to move. JellyBean 4.2 has come out. I sideloaded it. I guess you did or got it. And
no, it's rolled out to everybody now. They rolled it out amazingly quickly. It took like 2 days, and everybody should have it now.
Well, I know that there's a new camera app, right?
There's a new camera app.
Obviously, that's not relevant to anyone using the Nexus 7 because
no. But if you have a Galaxy Nexus, it is relevant. It actually the new camera app's pretty neat. It kind of takes panorama shots and puts them on steroids. And I'll be posting some of my Sphere photos later. But basically, it's not just that you can. Some people might remember, about 10 or 15 years ago, there was a company called iPix, and it was used for a lot of real estate advertising, where they'd show you a panorama view that kind of scrolled around a room in a house that they were trying to sell. You can now do that from your cell phone.
So we should all be very scared if Pam ever obtains a copy of Android 4.2.
Well,
Just
it all
imagine.
depends on what uses you can put it to. But no, the camera app is neat.
They have a Vibrate app, right?
I have a whole setting on my phone for that. Sorry, I digress. Okay, so
The camera app is neat. I think on the tablet, the neatest new feature, as far as I'm concerned, is that it now allows for multiple logins. So multiple users can share the same tablet and not be worried about deleting each other's data or accidentally seeing each other's accounts or whatever. So I think that's one of the better new features in 4.2. And there are a lot of other little things that I think are nice touches that you see all over the place. The home screen widget, the lock screen widgets, nice new feature. Can't wait for more widgets to show up. The fact that while it's plugged in, it can show what it calls a dreamscape. So you can have the time constantly showing while it's plugged in and not doing anything else. It'll stay locked. So it's like an advanced lock screen under certain conditions. Things like this. A lot of them are nice touches and some really good improvements, I think, to the system.
let me ask you, the multiple login, is that done in a simple way? I mean, if I said to somebody, like if we were, if I had some tablet, you didn't have yours, and we were sitting in a coffee shop, if I handed you my phone, would it work?
It would take you a couple of extra steps to create the user because it's meant to support multiple users. But once you've done that, it's very easy to, trying to think of the right way to put this. It's very easy to switch accounts from once you're logged in or directly from the lock screen. You probably can't see it too well, but looking at mine, you can see on the bottom there are these two little icons, and one of them's my login and one of them's an alternate login. And it's defaulting to me initially. If I wanted to use the other person, I just touch that one and unlock it. So it literally is like I have two tablets here because they work the accounts are completely independent of each other.
So like a husband, wife, and kid who all use it could set up accounts on that phone. And
exactly. We've got this comment from George. Who would want to share a tablet? That's like sharing your toothbrush. The difference, though, George, is that you don't get your germs from one account into the next account. The accounts are completely isolated from each other. So, for example, if you're doing something on the tablet and you want to hand it to your kid, it's really easy. Switch to the kid's account and just hand it to them. You don't have to worry about them accidentally deleting
just
your
to point
icons.
this out, how important this is, this ability. If anyone's ever had someone watch use your Netflix account, like if someone borrowed sat and watched TV using Netflix, then if they're into sci-fi and you're not, or if they're into romance stuff and you're not, or whatever, then they could totally skew up all your recommendations if they were using your account.
Right, and it's important to realize that the accounts really are completely separate. So your browser in your account, you can sync to your Chrome on your desktop, on your other accounts. Their login has their Chrome syncing with their other desktops and their other devices. So it's really separate, and it really will give families. I think this is the biggest feature for families, so that they don't have to worry about what their kids are going to have access to.
Okay, I know the real thing that everyone's been looking forward to tonight, and we're finally going to get to it. I apologize for making you wait all this time. Let me hear 208 19.
Oh Lord.
Google modifies Android SDK to battle platform fragmentation.
I want to know who wrote that headline.
I wrote it.
You wrote it? Okay,
Yeah.
Dan, we need to talk. I know you do newspapers, so you should be able to come up with a far sexier headline for that. But at the very least, you need to get it accurate. Because really, they didn't actually.
I just copied and pasted the headline from the story.
Well,
because
then the
they
story
modified
is
their I don't even know what SDK. What is it? What's the acronym mean? I know what it is.
We'll
but
explain
what
a
does it
couple
mean?
of terms, and then we'll explain what they actually did. The SDK is the software development kit. This is what they ship out to app developers to enable them to create Android apps. They didn't. when they release new major versions of Android, they ship out a new SDK to take advantage of the new features on that platform. So, for example, when JellyBean first came out, there was an update to the SDK to handle the new notification system that went with it. Eventually, we're hoping they're going to enable, with this SDK, it now has the additional features to let people write widgets that will run on the lock screen. One of the other things that came along with this SDK, however, was a change to the terms of service. Not to the SDK itself, but the new terms of service now essentially say you're not allowed to do anything that will cause fragmentation. This has got to be one of the stupidest additions to the terms of service ever, because they don't really define what they mean by fragmentation in this case.
Does that mean Amazon can't develop a new tablet?
No, because this has nothing to do with taking Android and creating a fork of Android. What this is saying, though, is that if you are an app developer, this is actually targeted at the Chinese company that basically took Android and made a hacked up job of it, and then were distributing their own SDK, which was really Android's SDK with some other hack jobs on it. What Amazon has done is they're not telling people, in fact, they're not telling app developers at all that you can write something for the Kindle. They're just saying, hey, we happen to be compatible with some other operating system, which we're not going to name.
Is it okay for Samsung to develop a special apps for this that don't work on phones that don't have this?
It is absolutely okay, because they're not changing the SDK. What they're doing is they're releasing additional libraries that you use as part of the SDK.
This is a really obscure topic that I should never have.
Not only is this obscure, this is like bizarre.
We have a new hashtag, TopicFail.
TopicFail.
Dan,
yes.
Wait, Dan TopicFail.
Great one.
Yeah. All right. So, no one is allowed to weigh in on that topic. Go ahead.
I don't even know if I should ask this, but the SDK is not open source then, right?
The SDK.
I guess
it's actually a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I believe they may have actually released the source, but that's not entirely relevant, because even if it is open source, it may still have closed licensing.
Okay, so let's I don't want to cut a hot topic short, but
I'm sorry, we just had a nice yawn from Michael, which I wish we had captured on camera.
We just lost 500 viewers on YouTube,
which is impressive, since we probably didn't have that many to begin with.
Not quite that many. Okay,
we're not negative users.
Another Chromebook. This time, just $200.
We are getting much closer to. Well, I mean, even $200 might be that price point that people like. Well, I don't want to say like me, because I don't think. Well, I mean, but $200 is getting very close, if not hitting the price point where you get grandma to buy the computer, because.
Yeah, I paid $350 for mine.
The problem is, if you actually go and compare, if you go look at this particular Chromebook, this is a piece of garbage. This is not, this is the equivalent of the $80 Android tablet. This is a piece of garbage. It looks like Acer built this thing out of spare parts they happened to find in the basement.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't be buying a computer you shouldn't be buying anything from Acer, which is part of the problem, and, Google should kick Acer out of the Open Handset Alliance. But
this isn't an open. I mean, this is Chrome OS.
Yeah,
this
I guess
Chromium.
that's true. But I
mean,
Acer's just garbage. It's like worse than LG.
I mean, here's the kicker. If we compare this device, this new unit, to the unit they just announced, which is just $50 more, it has half the battery life. It takes 2 to 3 times as long to start up, which used to be the big feature of a Chromebook, is you turn it on and it's on within 7 seconds. With this thing, you turn it on and it's on within 20 seconds, which, it's still better than Windows, but come on.
I wonder why Google doesn't tap Asus on the shoulder and ask them to make basically a $200 Chromebook. Because if Acer can do it, Asus can do it.
They may have, and
always say
Acer
that.
said, "Hey, we're busy doing other stuff right now." Really, this looks like Acer kind of said, "Hey, we have these spare laptop cases. We should do something with them." And
Now,
go ahead, Kyle.
It does have a 20 gigabyte hard drive built in, but
Yes.
isn't the point of a Chromebook not
Right.
to have a hard drive?
Here's the thing. Do you know why it has a 320 gig hard drive?
No.
That's the smallest hard drive you can get these days. You can't get a smaller one. That's a hard drive as opposed to a solid state drive.
I
No,
have
that's
never,
the other-
I have
that's-
never filled up 300 gigs ever. I think my computer now has like 10 gigs.
Or I can
That's
easily
with-
fill up 320 gigabytes. I think a lot of people can easily fill up.
But you don't need to on a Chromebook. Everything's
Right, yeah.
stored in the drive, in the
But
cloud.
I mean, the bigger question wouldn't be why is there a
So the
300?
cloud goes down because Anonymous gets pissed off.
The bigger question isn't why is the hard drive 320 gigabytes. The question is why is it one with
What-
platters instead of a solid state drive?
And the answer is because they wanted to make it $200. The real question, though, is, okay, so they saved $50 by not putting in a solid state drive.
Well, and like
Really?
you
Really?
were talking about the 20-second boot time, and I'm sure that's half of the problem. Is that
That's all of the problem.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Well, but the 3.5 hour battery life is, I think, the biggest issue with this, because it's not acceptable in any. I mean,
No,
people that are using the Chromebooks are to be mobile and to be on the go, not to be connected to a power cord at your desktop.
Yeah, it sounds like this device goes basically completely against all of the major positives of a Chromebook.
How can you be mobile and stuff if you don't have a phone number? I mean, you have to go from Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi, right?
Yes, and there are people who are happy to go from Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi. If that, and there is some limited offline capabilities of it that'll sync when you walk into Wi-Fi range. But even so, this is just a bad thing. We have a question from Seabread. Please elaborate on the Chromebook usefulness. I was looking at them just today. When I first got I got a Chromebox actually. Dan famously called it ghetto, and questioned the usefulness of it all. So this is a pretty good question in my mind. I'll tell you right now, I'm coming to you via that Chromebox today. I find the Chromebox incredibly useful for, no, it's not my work machine, but the reason why it's not my work machine is because I program, and it's not a great box to do programming on. It is a great box, however, to do Hangouts on. It's a great box when I want to do email. It's a great box for when I want to use Google Docs and Google Drive and all of that stuff. When I do photo editing using the Creative Kit, I will do it on my Chromebox instead of doing it on my Mac laptop. It is a powerful device. It's fast. It's very streamlined.
But
this thing, though, I think the $200 one is not there, though.
The features that you listed, don't they have anything to do with like the video card and the sound card and stuff like that? I mean, do they suck? Could you do Second Life with this Chromebox thing?
I don't know. I haven't tried Second Life. I do play some Flash-based games on my Chromebox, and it's better performance in some cases than on my Mac laptop.
I think the thing that's so appealing is that it cuts everything else out, and so many people are living basically in their browsers that there's no reason anymore to have the rest of it, and everything's always going to be updated. Everything's very lightweight. It always works, and it's cost effective, even though this $200 one isn't anything to go after. For $250, you get a really solid mobile device.
That's the other thing to keep in mind is that security, as far as the operating system goes, is extremely high. Whereas, obviously, there aren't going to be a lot of, if any, viruses as it is for Chrome OS because it's not many people have it. But God forbid you did get a virus on it, you just turn off your computer and you turn it back on, and Chrome OS realizes that something is not the way it's supposed to be, and it restores the OS. So that's a great feature about Chrome OS.
I got a question for Alan, and then we'll go to our last topic. You talked about the quality of this Acer product. I look at Apple, and you had a top-down. I'm seeing all these articles about the top-down dictatorial philosophy at Apple, where Steve Jobs would, dictate what products were going to be produced, and down to where,
what color it is. Yes,
he called Vic Gundotra famously, and when he was at religious services, and was upset on a Sunday about the shade of a color of one of the letters on the Google logo on the app. So, real anal control freak. And then Google is the opposite. They encourage, they give you 20% to do whatever you want to do. They encourage open dialogue. It's not a top-down philosophy so much. Does Google need to? What's the solution here? Because on the one hand, if you have somebody who knows what they're doing, and is a UI expert and a design expert, then and a control freak, then they can produce brilliant products. But at the same time, the whole philosophy of Android and Google is to sort of create a platform so others can develop innovative products, and they can make money advertising on all these different footprints. And you've seen it work in Android, where now they're like at 70% of the market. So what's the balance there, Alan? Because it's like, how do we have our cake and eat it too? We have quality, but at the same time flexibility.
I think Google is trying to play a kind of balancing act, and we've seen actually in the past 6 months or so that they've tried to rein in and keep a little more control over Android, but at the same time keep it this open system. They're still encouraging other app stores out there, as another example. But at the same time, they've instituted this new virus scanner. So they're trying to play a very delicate balancing act where they want to keep things open because they benefit from things being open. The more things that are open, the more they benefit in a lot of ways. But at the same time, they don't want Android, the brand name, to be totally, messed up. So they're I guess I just keep saying it. It's a delicate balancing act that they're trying to play right now.
And finally, we've got this. I have not read it yet, but I think you put it in there, Alan. I can't wait to hear this. Google employees teach janitors how to speak English. Tell me about this.
That was a fun one that I ran into. If you're not following Life at Google on Google Plus, it's an interesting page. Every few days, they interject some random tidbit about what it's like to work at Google. And sometimes they're, very high-level stuff. We had Vince Cerf giving a presentation. And other times it's a story like this, where they talk about how some of their employees, I believe it's just in the Mountain View office, have volunteered time at the end of their day to work with janitors from their janitorial contract company that comes in, to just sit with them and speak English with them, teach them how to speak English, help them learn English, conversational English, things that they need to work in an American society. And I think that's great. It's just, it's not a top-down, you shall do this. It's a bunch of employees who said, hey, this is how we want to spend our time. This is how we want to help people that we work with all the time. And the janitors like it, partly because they're learning English, but also partly because as they get better in English, they have more chance to be daytime janitor staff as opposed to evening janitor staff. So it basically works out well for everybody.
I can imagine that they wouldn't know how to ask where the bathroom is, but they could say, algorithm being taught by Google engineers.
Well, I think to me, this is again part of the illustration about how there are real people at Google. They're not just engineers. Yes, they think of a lot of things in terms of procedures and algorithms and methods of doing things. They have a very engineering approach to things, but they're also people who have and do real things in their non-job function.
And they can interact with normal people.
They can.
Baby steps. Hey, this was awesome. Let's start with Sreek. Are you still there? And we can Sreek, tell us what was your the coolest thing you learned or saw or experienced or whatever on or off Google Plus this week.
Well, I thought the coolest thing was indeed the game I discussed earlier. But
do you have an access code, Sreek?
No, I don't even have the app. It's only on Android right now.
Dan does.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You knew it. You knew it. You just wanted me to say it.
I haven't used it. Mine is
Actually,
WX.
no, I forgot that you weren't using Android.
W.
No, don't be doing that, Dan, because you'll lose it.
No, I got to punch it in there. Pam, what was the best thing that happened?
No,
to you?
hold on. How does it work? You download the app and then they have to give you an access code?
You have to request it at the website, and then.
Wait, you have an access code, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Alan,
Alan, did you get the game?
I have the game. I don't have the access code for it yet, though.
I wanted to know your thoughts about the game.
I think it's it's interesting. This is not the first type of augmented reality game that we've seen, but it does look like Google is. Most of them have been short promos in the past. This looks like it's actually going to be a longer deal. That it's not, there's not one solution to the whole thing. That it's an actual game that people are going to be playing against each other. I think it's clever. It's going to get people out and moving, which I think is really a nice feature to it. It's not the first such game. It won't be the last such, but I think it's interesting to see the way that Google is spinning it.
Well, next week brought up, it's going to give Google invaluable data for their maps.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the guys, I saw a Reddit post. I think I copied Alan on it. This guy went in and figured out that Google is actually capable of collecting information, locale specific, wherever this game is being played.
Well, yes, but they already have a lot of that information.
No, they don't really have the by alleys or, if you, I mean, they probably have the main streets, etc. But a lot of places where they don't have it, they can get a lot of updated information.
I'm not convinced of that because the whole point is you have to find these landmarks. So they've already got the landmarks built into it.
That I agree, but what I'm saying is if you have this app on, if you're walking around, let's say in Venice, for example, right?
But you're I don't know. I mean, maybe, but you're already told exactly where it's located. I don't think they're getting significant additional information that way.
Okay, maybe. I don't know.
I think they're setting you up for brainwashing and mind control. Personally,
well,
Pam,
my biggest concern about this is that. Latitude has also given some of this information to them, where you're located at any given time. But Latitude, you can restrict who sees that. This game, it's not clear to me that your location won't leak out. So if you don't...
At any time, like your bedroom. You're like, your phone's sitting there next to your bed and,
It all ends up back in Pam's bedroom.
If there's a portal in your bedroom, Pam, we need to talk.
Pam, what was the most interesting, exciting, fun, anecdotal thing that you experienced this week? On or off Google Plus?
Actually, I met someone from Google Plus this week. That was really, really, really cool. He was totally different than I thought he was going to be. His name's John Cassoni. He has a wellness center right by where I work in Temecula, and he was totally down to earth and kicked back, and it was great. We met for coffee, and so that was kind of cool. The second person I've met from Google Plus in real life. So it was cool.
Awesome. Good for you. Michael Ellis. What was the coolest, interesting, whatever thing that happened to you this week or you experienced?
Well, I have two great things. I can't pick a better one. I think today I bought a house, an apartment for myself in New York. So I'm going to be moving. That's one. And the second is that I've been working very hard to learn to speak professional level German. And I've been taking lessons from a German speaker that I met over Google Plus, and we meet every week for lessons. And this week somebody told me, a German speaker from my company told me that my German was obviously getting better every week.
That's awesome. And what a great tool Hangouts are for that.
They're fantastic.
That's cool.
That's great. Good for you.
Shout out to Lisa Miller, who's doing English Hangouts, English practice Hangouts. And we do the German practice Hangouts every Saturday morning.
Ich bin ein Berliner.
There you are.
Kyle Hess, what was something cool other than, you're right near Google Fiber, and we hate you for that, and we're all jealous. But what was something interesting or cool that you experienced this week?
It's actually probably just worse because I'm so close yet so far away that I'm probably never going to get it. But I'd say the coolest thing is I'm starting to work with Sarah Hill here in Colombia on virtual veteran tours so that they can see their memorials without for veterans that aren't able to take the trip. So they're working with a project called Virtual Photo Walks, who with a connection and a phone will attach it to a monopod or something, and will have people walking around the memorials and things like this. So they're doing it specifically for veterans, and we're going to try to reach as many of them as we can that they can't otherwise go see their memorials. So
that's awesome. And I think we met through your brother, right? Your brother works with Sarah.
Yep, he works with Sarah, and we're getting the advisory board started, and we're going to try to kind of see how we can use this technology to help people that certainly deserve it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we do a lot of work with veterans here in Front Row, Virginia. So, Jacob, are you still with us? All right, let me go to Brad.
But I was kicked back on my bed just watching. You're on my TV.
Okay, Jacob, tell us what was something interesting that happened to you, or you saw, or learned about this week.
Well, the only thing I saw was a weird picture of a dog on my Google Plus stream. Going crazy. Blah.
All right.
That's what I'm basically doing.
All right, that'll work. Brad, what was the wildest thing or most interesting thing that happened in Australia or on Google, on or off Google Plus, whatever?
Z-Box launched in Australia.
Awesome. Z-Box is ZEEBOX.
Yeah, tell us about that game too, Dan. How do you get it? Where do I find out more about it?
You got to. It's only for Android now, but I think an iOS app is in the works. It's done by the Google Lab. Alan,
it's Niantic Lab, I believe is how it's pronounced. You can find out more at ingress.com. INGRESS.com.
Yeah, check it out.
Have you used it yet, Dan?
I have not yet because I just got it. I was driving and I couldn't do it while I was driving. And but you can apply for an invite and.
What does it do? What sort of game is it?
It's like augmented reality. You get. Imagine you're trying to do things and you get energy or whatever by physically walking in local trails in your actual area. So it kind of merges reality. Imagine a reality show that was a game, but actually in your local community. So it's kind of it's a new thing, and it'll be fun. And as we all experiment with it, once we all get on, then we'll know more about it. Anthony, tell me what was interesting or cool or whatever. I guess you're in grocery retail, so tell me the whole Hostess thing. Any final thoughts on that? And then I'll ask you just what have you seen on your shelves? Are they Are people flocking in to buy Twinkies, or what's the deal?
Well, I wasn't at work today, and I haven't been paying any attention to a commercial bakery area. But I definitely will go there, when I work tomorrow and look at the shelves and see what the status of them they are, and try and talk to commercial bakery people and see if they're good with stock for the foreseeable future, or if there's going to be issues in that area.
I looked and I saw, because remember, Hostess, which is liquidating, they're requesting the judge to allow them to liquidate because the strike continued. But we're talking Twinkies, we're talking Wonder Bread, Nature's Harvest, or whatever the brand is, a bunch of like 60 different brands. Some are national, some are regional. And when I went there at the front row of Walmart today, Anthony, I saw that some of the bread was back, like the expiration was the 12th, and today's the 16th. And then I found one that was dated the 20th, so I got that, and I got my Twinkies.
Again, what year, Dan?
Yeah, 1987, I think. But anyway, so Anthony, tell us. I'll be interested in your feedback next week about this, and I'll be interested in your feedback on if you see one of the guys coming in delivering the stuff, if you can talk to him or her and get some feedback on that, because it's a shame that this happened. It isn't, it's an American iconic brand.
You have to remember that in some locations there hasn't been a Hostess delivery for weeks.
And Costco in New York, I don't know how widespread this is, but Costco replaced them with Blue Ribbon, or with Schmitz, and Walmart has been talking about replacing them because of that issue, because they've had supply, issues getting the products. So once you start losing your shelf space, remember, grocery stores don't sell groceries; they sell shelf space. When you see Lay's have this gigantic amount of shelf space based on, if Frito-Lay has this big area and the others don't, that's because they're paying for that. They charge for that shelf space. I forget what the term is, but it's a grocery term. Anthony may know it. But there are some items that they don't charge for, but if you want that eye-level big potato chip, section, you're paying for that. And that's how they make their money. But Anthony, what was or do we finish or?
No, you didn't finish.
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony. What cool stuff
we
did you
never
see
finish on this
experience
show.
This week?
Well, before I get into that, I just really quickly wanted to touch on a comment by Kevin Bryan, and he says, "Alan, why isn't the Chromebook sold in the Google Play Store?" And I think that could be a very complicated answer, but I think the most simple answer is that the Google Play Store is basically the Android store, and that's why at the most basic level, the Chromebox is not sold in the Google Play Store because it's an Android store.
I think there's a simpler answer, Anthony, and it boils
because
down
Google
to
doesn't get it.
Exactly, because this is Google. No, I mean, to their credit, they're finally starting to introduce Chromebooks in the Google Play Store, but come on, it's really getting ridiculous.
They can't even get the right T-shirts in the Google Store.
They have T-shirts in the Google Store?
So how was your Google Plus week, Anthony?
Yeah, Anthony?
So I don't know if this was the most interesting thing, but I thought that something that was interesting is apparently from internal sources at Microsoft is that Windows 8 is not hitting the expectations for sales of the internal numbers for Microsoft, which I don't think came as a shock to anyone except for Microsoft, but...
Isn't it about when you have to upgrade? I mean, we're all going to get Windows 8 if you get Windows computers when you need another computer. But I don't see any...
It's so terrible because I bought Windows 7, and because I bought Windows 7 inside a certain time frame, I can upgrade to Windows 8 for $15. And I actually have bought Windows 8 for that $15, and I've registered it and everything, but I haven't installed it, and I am so afraid of installing it that it might just not happen, even though I've actually already spent the $15. So, like, I'm almost kind of curious how many people actually did buy Windows 8 for $15 and didn't install it and have no plans on installing it.
That's
And
the
that
thing.
those
You
sales
hit on it,
numbers are
Anthony.
actually artificially inflated. I mean, yeah, they're getting the money, but they're not getting the penetration.
You've hit on it because that's the problem. That's the concern. I'm in a work environment, and I'm not going to, our hardware can support it, but I'm very nervous about it. I don't know that much about it. It's weird and different. It might be awesome. I have no idea.
But
why take the chance? I mean, when I get a new computer, I'll probably get. I mean, I'll have to get it, right?
But here's the thing. Microsoft has counted on that for every release. They don't, yeah, they get some stuff out of the upgrade.
But this is
and
not.
Maybe they're getting
this
less
is a
than
whole
in the past.
different thing. This is like when they went from DOS to Windows. I mean, this is.
Yeah, but
No,
it
this
is.
is like when they went from
Windows.
XP to Vista. I think it's substantially worse. I think that there was an artificial feeling that Vista was not any good. I think that.
You think that's why they got rid of the guy who's in charge of Windows?
Windows 8 is not. Who
Was
knows?
that
I don't know.
personality the way they? I wonder. The guy, I guess they brought him in a long time ago, right? He was brought in after the Vista debacle, right?
I think that people are going. I think that he got fired, and maybe in the future other people will get fired, and that the reason that those people will get fired is that that way that there's scapegoats. So I can't even think of the CEO's name right now. Help me out. CEO of Microsoft.
Bomber.
Yeah, Ballmer.
Michael Ballmer.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve Ballmer.
Steve Ballmer.
Well, here's the question, though, Anthony.
Put the blame on
Is
other
that-
people, so he deflects the blame.
They got rid of the guy who's in charge of Windows. He'd been there for a long time, and all of a sudden he's fired. Windows 8 sales are not what they expected. Initially, the reports, it was wild speculation, or nobody knew why, and then you started to see stuff trickling out about a personality, or people didn't like him, but he'd been there so long. Why all of a sudden did they not like him? Why all of a sudden? Do you think this is BS scapegoating because they're trying to gloss over the fact that Windows 8 is not being adopted like they expected, or
Well,
do
I
you
don't
think it
know
was a
if it's-
legitimate personality issue?
I don't know if it's BS scapegoating. I just don't know. But if it's not, this was such a stupid decision to throw him under the bus, because if the problem is not him, he's just going to go to Apple, or he's going to go to Google, and then they're really
With a
going
whole
to,
lot of corporate knowledge.
Exactly, and I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. Even if it was completely his fault, he's probably going to Apple and or Google, and I don't know.
I got to
Seems
close with
good.
Alan, but final question: what's the status of Kodak? Am I still going to be able to get ink for my printers?
The last headline that I saw from Kodak is that they think that they're going to successfully exit bankruptcy. So
Maybe they can start making Twinkies.
maybe
They can refurbish their factories.
Great idea.
Alan, what a wild week. We had all the aftermath from the political stuff. We had lots
Everything's
of
about
innovations
politics
on
with you,
Google
isn't it?
Plus, and but what's and you guys have repaired, I guess, from Hurricane Sandy.
New York is slowly coming back. I mean, it's interesting to see just where there are still problems down in those parts, but it's slowly returning. I mean, there are parts of Manhattan even that aren't going to be back in shape for weeks, months, or years. But I believe either today or tomorrow, the final entrance into Manhattan will finally open up. The Battery Tunnel is going to reopen finally. Trains are almost back to normal. Things are slowly returning to normal, but it's pretty slow. Wanted to bring in a couple of comments quickly that we had from a couple of new followers of ours, thanks to Pam. Aaron comments, well, there goes my Friday night. And
Thank you, Aaron.
And Mr. Fantastico, I love the name. This is so cool, and my friend Pam is on it. Other shows try to be polished. This is just real people. I love it. Well, I guess we're real.
We try to be unpolished.
But you know, I mean, that's, to me, that actually does say a lot about what Google Plus is. It's real people saying real things. Yeah, we still have a lot of people who are pushing brands and who are, you know, think that Google Plus is a marketing platform. And it isn't to me. It's a bunch of real people saying real things.
You don't want a personal coach?
On a marketing platform.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for watching. We're going to keep the after party going, and you should always look in the thing on the bottom. You'll see the link to the actual Hangout, which has a lot of stuff before and after.
Before we wrap up, Dan, I want to give a special thanks, a special shout out to everybody in the U.S. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving the week ahead. I know that I'm certainly thankful that we've got all of you as viewers. I know Dan is as well.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward
Same to you, Alan.
gaining about 1.5 pounds in a single day at Thanksgiving, which will be my Uncle Jim's this year for the first time, I think, ever for us. But, folks, we are here every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and midnight or 1 a.m. GMT. But we really appreciate all the live comments. We appreciate the comments after the fact, and we just appreciate you watching and interacting with us. That's why we do it. We're all volunteers, and it's a lot of fun. And we want to wish all of you a very wonderful Google Plus week.